hold up. Double text on my phone up. Fuck with your boy, I'm the man of the year. I'm not a fan of your peers. Serve him a fate, I'ma hand him the shears. He not the man of your peers. Heart of a lion, I'm trampling fears. I love the man in the mirror. Cry me a river to stand in the tears. You better stand in the clear. I'm going crazy, niggas fugazi. How are they ever gon' fuck with a kid? Put it on, baby, you do not faze me. Boy, I do not give a fuck what you did. Eating that kitty, she stuck to my rib. How can I trust him? He fuck with the pigs. Bro got a Glock and a couple of C's. He think about splitting a couple of wigs. Shotty my DNA, all real, nigga. Sweatsuit, all heel figure. And I ain't even got a deal with you. If I ain't never split a bill with you, I got Hennessy and horchata. Baby girl wearing nada. Ass growing from the side. Bad girl wearing nada.
Bad little flex, she wanna know me. I stay low key, all gas, no brakes. Baby, let them hoes sleep. Body on 10, make your girl OD. I get in my way, never out of my lane. Feel like you the one and I'm on one. So what it's gonna be? Baby, squad up, we finna go deep. Riding on a team, got what you need. Baby, won't you keep me company? Give me something to do when I get lonely. I got something for you when we get home. If you let me put it down, when I hit the town, you should ride on me. Keep your mind on me. On try, baby, I think you should side with me. Stay solid one time if you lie with me. Just promise you never lie to me. Keep the moves on tuck. I know it's all love. Everything good, keep the vibes on crush. I know it's all good. Know it's all love. Know it's all love. I'm feeling like the man lately. Can't nobody do it like I can daily. Baddest in the lattice in the land. Body turn your nigga to a fanny up. I made it where I'm at on my own. Had a couple blocks in the road, but I get to the bag on the loan. I be counting stacks while they grow. Yeah, you know me. Baby, won't you keep me company? Give me something to do when I get lonely. I got something for you when we get home. If you let me put it down, when I come in town, you should ride on me. Keep your minds on me. On try, baby, I think you should side with me.
Hello.
Hey, welcome. Welcome everybody to Black Man Unfiltered Network. Hey, Coach K.
How are you, Miss Queen Smiley?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm good. Ready for a fun show today.
Definitely that. Can't wait to have this discussion. For those of you that are new in the room, to the building, all of that good stuff, remember to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can tune in and listen to some of these great conversations we're having on Black Men Unfiltered Network. Coach K and myself mainly are here on Tuesdays. You can see us sometimes also, definitely me Monday for reaction videos and other topics we just have spur of the moment. While we're waiting for everybody to enter the room, let's see who's in the chat. Just listening. Hey, how are you? Blessings. Glad to see you here. Dre Blanco, as always, blessings to you, brother. Always good to see you in the building. Everybody else, come on in. Please hit the like button, subscribe. Gidio, if you'll hit that intro one more time, let's wait for some people to enter into the building.
Bad little flex, she wanna know me. I stay low key, all gas, no brakes. Baby, let them hoes sleep. Body on 10, make your girl OD. I get in my way, never out of my lane. Feel like you the one and I'm on one. So what it's gonna be? Baby, squad up, we finna go deep. Riding on a team, got what you need. Baby, won't you keep me company? Give me something to do when I get lonely. I got something for you when we get home. If you let me put it down, when I hit the town, you should ride on me. Keep your minds on me. On try, baby, I think you should side with me. Stay solid one time if you lie with me. Just promise you never lie to me. Keep the moves on tuck. I know it's all love. Everything good, keep the vibes on crush. I know it's all good. Know it's all love. Know it's all love. like a man. Lately, can't nobody do it like I can. Daily, baddest in the land. Body turn your nigga to a fanny up fan. Yeah. I made it where I'm at on my own. Had a couple blocks in the road, but I get to the bag on the low. I be counting stacks while they grow, yeah, you know me. Baby, won't you keep me company? Give me something to do when I get lonely. I got something for you when we get home. If you let me put it down, when I come in town, you should ride on me. Keep your minds on me. On try, baby, I think you should side with me.
All right, welcome. So let's holler at the chat while we pull the beautiful ladies up. Family values, a gracious bow to you, Queen, on this wonderful evening. How are you?
I'm great. How are you ladies doing?
I'm doing awesome. How about you, TJ Randolph? Auntie Randolph, talk to us. What's good?
I'm good. Thank you so much. And I hope you all are doing as well.
Very much so. The beautifully animated speaks. Show yourself, Queen. Let us see how gorgeous you looking today. How are you today?
Just give me a second, but everything's good.
Good deal. Before we get started, I want to jump in the chat real quick just to acknowledge a few people. Thank you all for joining. Remember to check out that notification that's strolling at the bottom. Please subscribe and like to Black Man Unfiltered Network. Dante McCrae, welcome. Jenny, the most beautiful, talented queen. Was that me?
I think it's beautifully animated.
Okay.
I think she's good
All right.
now.
So Jenny, thank you so much for being the best mod ever. We truly appreciate you, and y'all have to forgive me. My day, I've been running all day in meetings all day back to back, so I've talked far too much tonight. Y'all see I had to put my scopals on so I can see the chat. CBN Tech Talk, thank you, brother, for joining, and good evening to you. The Real Savage Jazzy, welcome to the chat. For those of you who are just coming in, please tune in to Black Man Unfiltered Network, where you will find some of the gorgeous women on this panel, where you will hear us talk about just topics in regards to relationship, love, mental health, you name it. That's what we do. A new addition will be added to Black Man Unfiltered Network, The Ladies Speak, and you will hear from the ladies and what we have to say, how we feel about it, and we're going to talk about it. So, yeah. So wonderful conversation. Just to give y'all a little context where we coming from in this conversation, topic, big deal, little deal, a woman's guide to better relationship and mental health. Coach K and I were having a conversation in the back chat one night, and we were talking about our relationships and, pretty much how we got into them, what they're looking like, some of the successes and failures, things like that. But pretty much how sometimes we as women, we can jack stuff up. And in regards to our relationship maintenance, the mental health that we put on ourselves as well as other, and then the lack thereof of support, what are ways we can do as women to kind of shift the narrative, do the work that we need to do. So that's what we're here to talk about. So I can't wait to see and hear everyone's perspective. Look forward to an animated chat as always, because you guys rock. So. Coach K?
So are we going to start this evening with which question, as far as when it goes to, when, how we were talking last week about when you first get into a relationship, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
And maybe if we can start with that, do we think, I don't know if we want to speak for ourselves, or at least women we know, do we think that they know what they're looking for, or are they just going to find someone that they're mutually attracted to, and then they've been together for a little bit, and then they realize, oh well, this person doesn't want to commit, whatever it is, and it's just needless suffering if you would have just had the conversation from the beginning to see if you guys are on the same page and you want the same thing.
I definitely think it's looks over character and personality and stuff like that. And like you said, by the time they're thinking of everything, of the important things, it's too late. You already invested so much time into the relationship.
Yeah. So let's start with that question, and I can kick it off. So pretty much, we'll share our relationship status and pretty much why we got into it. And if you're single, then why you choose to be single, if that's your status. Because I know I was single for a long time. So I'm just now getting back into the dating realm, and
Hmm.
I'm currently seeing someone. Um,
Dang.
yeah.
Okay.
So I know it was a shock for me too.
You so silly.
Totally wasn't looking for it at all. So it was a beautiful surprise. I can say that. But for a while, I chose to be single because I felt like I just didn't have the time. I think when I showed up on this network, one of the statements I had is, I just don't have time. I'm what some people consider one of the modern women. So I work, I volunteer, I got all these things going on. I'm like, I ain't got time for dating. I ain't got time for these lies. You know, these men be out here
That's it
BSing.
though.
Yeah,
That's it
but
right there. We
that's
don't have
truly how
time
I
for the
felt.
lies.
If you
There we go.
Oh
So,
man.
but that's where I
So
was. So
yeah.
it took for me a while to, and when I say it was a beautiful surprise, um, I just so I hate to say so just so happened to happen upon a relationship, but I know it wasn't that. It was definitely divine intervention, because I was at a point where not so much as I had given up, but I was like, I'm just not looking. I'm okay. For those who know me from my hometown, I got a great aunt. Her name is T Betty. And so T Betty is only gonna date Jesus if he come down himself. And so I had said a couple years back, I'm like, Lord, if you want me to be like T Betty, just say that, just say that, and I just go ahead and just throw in the towel and do my little, holy dance and be done. Um, and just so happened to run across a really great guy that was pretty much speaking my language. And one of the things I shared is that I didn't want to find somebody that I had to build, or, not that I'm not willing to support a man, because I can support anybody. I do it all the time at work, church, all these other settings. So I definitely don't mind doing it for a king who I truly love. But I wanted somebody to meet me where I was, that was ready for marriage, that I didn't have to go around in circles having the conversation. Well, do you? Well, do you? Well, do you like me? Circle yes or no. I don't want to do that, you know. And so it
You
happened for
don't want
me.
to fix a mate.
That's it. So that's my story. That's my status. That's me. So
Congratulations. I'm praying for success.
Hmm.
thank you so much, Family Values. If you want to go, Family Values, go ahead, talk to us. What's your status? And I think most of us know you're married, but why enter into that relationship? Yeah, tell us your thoughts.
I'm married. I've been married for going on 7 years. I've known my husband since I was 21 years old. And I was actually in a place where I wasn't looking either. I had gave up on love. I was like, oh, throwing the towel. This is just silly. I'm focused on me and the kid. And he came into my life unexpectedly. And it's usually those unexpected moments is when you find your king. So I'm really excited for you.
Okay.
But was there a question for me, or
Yeah, that was the question. What was your
just
status
my
and why
status?
did you enter? Yeah, why did you enter into that relationship? Yeah,
Oh, okay, how?
What
It's
about
funny. I met
why
him
too?
yeah, why? Hmm.
Because if
yeah,
you
I
weren't
met him.
planning on it, what was almost like different that it, that you
That made
Well,
you
chose
do
to?
it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, well, I guess it was just who he was. He wasn't on my level. I felt like he was out of my league for one. So I was happy that he was interested in me. And then he just brought a lot of wisdom with him, brought a lot of problem solving skills that during the time I really needed. Like he really stepped in my life and helped me along the way because I was just going through a lot at the time, and he just stepped in and was that leader that I truly needed. So I just was like, all right, I'm all in. I'll do whatever, because this is
Yeah.
somebody I can follow blindly. So
Good
I'm
deal.
going to follow you for the rest of my life. So I just presented myself as a woman that wanted him to recognize,
Hmm.
and you know, we ended up getting married.
Nice.
Yep.
All right. What about you? Oh, shout out to I seen your little podcast. Coach K is my spirit animal. Thank you. You're
Ha!
awesome.
That's cute.
I'll be heading over to your channel one of these days for sure. But thank you. Uh, How about TJ? Tell us about you. I know you're married, but tell us a little bit.
Good evening. I am married. I have been married a little over 3 years. We've been together a little over four. From the
Hmm.
time we met to the time we got married, we had known each other for 10 months. I met him at 51. I entered into this relationship at a time that I was, to be honest, I was not sure I could trust myself because of the previous relationships that I had been in. And I was, I'm not going to say rebounding, but I was getting out there again. I was trying, I was dipping my little toe in, and um, I reached out to him on a dating website. I think I've shared that before. And he was just so kind. And I think one of the things that got me, that still gets me to this day, is his smile. And
Oh, I love a good smile.
I'm a sucker for
Hmm.
pearly whites. And he just
Hmm.
had
Nice.
a beautiful smile, but more than anything, he just had this calm spirit. And because I'm very much, I can be on 10. He is the opposite of me, and he calms me, and he has this quiet leadership that I just love, that I just follow, like I think family values said, blindly. And one thing about him, because I'm 55 now, and one of my best girlfriends, we've known each other since 2000, so 22 years. And she said, from the time that she's known me, he's the first man that I've been involved with that didn't need anything from me.
Mm. Now that's tough right there.
He didn't need
Oh,
anything.
repeat that. I missed it.
He's the first man that I've known. I call her my sister, but we've known each other since 2000. And so heard me cry, and I cried on her shoulder. Didn't think that anybody for me, and I'm just gonna be by myself. And why do I keep picking these? Crying a lot of tears. It's never gonna happen. So when I met him and we started dating, and she said to me, Terry, he's the first man that you've been with since I've known you that didn't need anything from you but just you.
Hmm.
Mm.
And it was at that point I said, wow, that's true. I mean, didn't need, me to help him with any resume writing or any career direction or any
Mm.
or
There go
anything
that builder man.
financial or anything like that. And so at that point it became more about me looking at me versus looking at them, because why was I
Hmm.
picking men that needed something from me? so
Mm,
so that's that. But yeah.
that's
Nice.
interesting.
Yeah, that's definitely
Okay.
interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah, beautifully
Yeah.
animated. Share.
I'm single. Um, so my single it started off by choice because I'm just like, I got tired of all the lies, and for me, if I tell you that I'm not about the lies, like be truthful, you're disrespected. You're disrespectful to me when you're lying to me, and you're wasting my time. Um, and I've been celibate for like over it's going on 6 years now. Also by choice. Um, I don't ask for much, so it really does piss me off when guys lie.
What kind of lies, if you don't mind me asking, like just generally?
Oh, um, okay, so my dotting days are over with. I,
Okay.
I'm looking for a long term relationship that's gonna, lead to marriage and stuff. So
And they
yeah,
didn't. They didn't really
right,
actually want marriage.
right, but they say they do.
Okay, I gotcha. I gotcha.
And it's like it's so many chicks out here who are not looking for long term relationships. They're about the thotting and stuff like that. Go find them. I don't see why you have to have me. You know, it's just disrespectful. I've been in love once in my life. So I know what it feels like. Therefore, I know what I'm looking for. Because being like loving and being in love are two different things.
May I ask a question really quick?
Mhm.
So you said you've been in love. Do you mind me asking how old are you? You are?
I'm in my 30s.
Okay. Well, and I'm asking the question because I knew what it was like to be in love, but I didn't know what it was like to be loved.
Mm. And it's definitely a
Mm.
difference.
But see, being in love, I also knew what being loved was. I'm sorry. Hold up.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
single and married, we have on the panel, and different reasons. Thank you, ladies, for sharing. Definitely understand where all y'all are coming from. Coach K, I think we missed you.
Oh.
But before we jump in, but it's definitely I would like to add that there's definitely a difference between being in love and being, in loving someone. And that's part of the reasons why some of us get into these relationships. Mainly, you have to love yourself before you embark on any one of these journeys. So knowing yourself, knowing what you're needing,
Facts.
if in fact you need some type of balance. So it's wild to hear Auntie TJ say, "Hey, this was the first relationship I've been in to where a man didn't need me," because that was one of the reasons why I chose to be single. It seemed like I was running into, or either my friend girls were with, some needy individual. And then moving out here to the city of Dallas, I came from Louisiana, where it was more of a Southern culture where men kind of took care of women and people entered in long-term relationships built on, oh, I know this family, this is a good family, or y'all did it for so long, y'all just go ahead and make it official kind of thing. To come out here and I see the ladies that I'm meeting with someone mainly because that person needed a place to stay. Girl, he give me all his attention. Yeah, because he ain't got nowhere else to go. You know, what do you want him to do? You know, girl, he take
Yeah.
care of me. He pick me up from work in your car, sis. So I mean, he ain't got no choice.
Right.
You know, so it
Right.
was that kind of thing, and I can definitely attest with the resume writing. Oh, I'm looking for a job, and blah blah blah. So that's disheartening. But then it's a beautiful story to hear people like Family Values say, "Hey, I ran into somebody that was I saw he was a leader, and I chose to allow him to lead me." Um, but definitely been in beautifully animated speak shoes where every time you turn around, Negro telling a tale. Like, bro, go on with that. You ain't got a lot of kick it. We grown at this point, especially when you in your 30s, say exactly what you mean and mean what you say. You know what you want, you know what you don't want. So before you choose to jump into something, just don't waste anybody's time. Because definitely in your 30s and 40s, that's time we would never get back. So go ahead, Coach K. What's going
Exactly.
on? What's
That's what
going
I
on your
say.
way?
Well, because I feel like we've been talking about every show, but I just recently got engaged. We've been together 5 years, but as I told Queen Smiley and some of the other panelists last week, I mean, we were long distance for a while, and I think that helped because I was still in school, and he would have to drive down to come see me. But it was nice because it was a lot of time away. But we got to do our own thing during the week, and then on the weekends, it was like we were all in. But I will say, at the beginning of our relationship, I was we met on Instagram, so I don't really know how else to describe it. Like, because we both were into the gym and we had I guess just I don't know how the algorithm we found each other. I don't even remember. He doesn't remember. I don't remember. But we just we just started talking, and at first I was really psycho, and I can get into that later for sure. But I just had such high expectations, and I would just start fights, and I thought it was reasonable. Why can't you just text me? It only takes 2 seconds. Well, he doesn't have to. And we broke up for a little bit. But after that, I found coaching. It's what I do now for a living, and I love it. But I also learned how to take control of my own emotions and to be responsible for my own emotions and to stop giving them to him, because they were never his to begin with. They're only mine. So yeah, I mean, and I also, we definitely went through some, bumps and things like that, but I strongly believe that there is nothing that you can't get through with that other person. I mean, you both have to be invested and you have to be in, but if you're both wanting the same thing, the same outcome, you can get through a fight, you can get through a disagreement, you can figure it out. Sometimes I may have to compromise or he does or whatever. Who cares? Like, who's trying to
Right.
win? There's no winning. We're both winning because we're together. You know what I mean? So,
Nice.
but I'm extremely happy, and I couldn't ask for a better man, and just a better relationship and future marriage. So
Well, good deal. Good deal. Well, congratulations to the ladies on the panel, those who are married and have been married long term. Beautifully animated speaks. We're gonna do a whole prayer circle for you. So you can find so God can send that one your way, who ain't a liar and a cheater and all that other good stuff.
Hey, that's all I ask for. You know what I'm saying?
You know,
I'm a very simple person. I'm a very easy person to
we as
please.
women say we simple, but we are so far from simple.
No,
Okay.
I am.
There is nothing simple about us queens. We have our pet peeves. We have our pet peeves. We have those things that drive us up the wall, ape shit bananas. We have them, and we have to be honest, right? And it comes with knowing yourself. So one of the things, I am very ornery at times, especially when I'm pressed for time or I'm stressed or I got a lot going on. I can be very short and terse with
oh
somebody,
yes, that's me
and I
too.
can also be very standoffish because I'm not a truly emotional person. So I can
Yeah.
tell you all day long. Even I get ready to leave y'all tonight. I love y'all. See y'all later. All day long. But if we're in the same space together, y'all almost non-existent to me because we're there and in comfort. I see y'all. Y'all see me. We all right. We cool. We just chilling. So I have to be better myself at expressing that love and showing that love. But we have our I guess our quirks about ourselves as women. So we're not simple. A lot of time black men always say, "Oh my God, black women always with the rah-rah. It's always something," and listening to Coach K, that was exactly what she had going on. So hopefully she'll share that story with us, in which she was just giving that man pure D hell.
Well,
Um,
I'm not speaking for all women. I'm speaking for
Right.
myself.
I get you speaking for yourself. So and that in itself, for you to even come back and say, no, I'm just speaking for me in defending that, hey, I'm simple. You I can I thought I was a simple woman. Okay. Just
Right.
feed me, give me a little love and all of that. But I realize I'm a special individual. And it
Yeah.
takes a
Yeah.
special person to be patient with me, to be kind when you approach me sometimes. Because some days I'm like a TJ, where I'm just boom, I can hit the roof. But then
Yeah.
oftentimes, sometimes I'm a family values where I'm very submissive and I'm not speaking to anybody. I'm just sharing stories that we've all shared. So I ain't
Yeah.
shooting no shot at nobody. So please don't nobody get defensive.
Mm-hmm.
But I can be like family values. Oh my God, my king is the bomb. I love you. He is everything. It's everything. But then I'm also impulsive and impatient, like Coach K. I said, hey, 2 hours ago, what's your problem? Because I
Right.
know you woke.
And I thought that was
Okay.
simple, right? Like, I was like, "It
You
takes 2
woke.
seconds to let me know you got home." But
So
was it simple? It wasn't. Well, for me at least. I had
so
to
so
let
a
that
lot of
go.
times we as women can be all over the place. But I would definitely like to know some nitpicky things y'all do. What are some nitpicky things y'all do in y'all's relationship that probably, cause a little friction?
I'll go last because I could go for days, but
Now go first, Coach K. I want to hear this. Go first, Coach K. Let me hear this.
I don't know. Like, I had to check myself.
Mm. Yeah.
And I'm always checking myself. I will say, like, nitpicky things. If I if I tell him something and I have a crap memory, but I swear I did tell him about something coming up or whatever, and then he asked me again, and I'm like, I already told you this. That, I mean, that's very small, but mm,
But it goes back to
honestly,
the topic, big deal, little deal.
a
Is it a
lot of
big
it I
deal?
checked. A lot of it I have checked and I have gotten it together. Like some things like I used to be nitpicky about if I again going back to Instagram, if we follow some of the same because we're into fitness, if we follow some of the same, fitness like influencers or whatever, and I would see that he like liked their picture or whatever, I would be like, why are you, this was a while ago. I got myself in check, all right? And I'd be like, why are you liking that picture, And then of course I would feel insecure. But then when I would watch him be on his phone and he would literally scroll like, scroll like, scroll like he had no, discernment between anyone's pictures. He just liked everything on his homepage. So that was like, an indication for me that it's like it's not even personal. You know what I mean? So that's just an
I'm,
example of something that I used to be really picky about.
I'm tickled at Jenny. Jenny say you said it in your head. You didn't say it out loud. Auntie TJ, you were about to jump in to say something?
Well, I was going to say nothing cures that than like having children, as far as repeating yourself. So just go ahead and know that. Nothing cures that than like having children. So just
Right.
But I think at this point in my life, nothing. I used to be nitpicky about just about everything because I did a show with my father last week, and it's amazing. You can see yourself one way, but other people see you differently. And I listened to how my father talked about how my standards were so high. Well, I didn't think they were that high. I didn't think they were that high. I would be very nitpicky about grammar. Very nitpicky about grammar, nitpicky about where the dishes go in the house.
That's a good one.
Where everything went. And I just don't care. And what I mean by that is there was a relationship, and again, even in bad relationships, you can learn good things out of it.
Right.
And the relationship that I had, the guy I was dating, even though he was a jerk, he ended up being a jerk, but that's just fact. And I have the scar on my knee to prove it. But anyway, he did the dishes, and he was putting the dishes in the wrong place. Now, instead of me saying thank you, babe, for doing the dishes, I wanted to point out where, well, they really go here. They really go here. So that was something that I was nitpicky about that I didn't need to be nitpicky about. So when my husband washes the dishes and he puts them someplace that they don't need to be, I said, thank you, babe, for washing dishes. And then I'll just put them where, if it's that big of a deal for me, I just put them where they need to go because, again, he did the dishes. So pretty much nothing really bothers me that much anymore because I'm like, is it worth it? And it just isn't. It just isn't.
Yep, I'm with you.
What I've been nitpicky about, like TJ said, I used to have a lot of little things, little quirks that I would try to correct him about and realize that it doesn't do anything. It only creates more problems trying to correct a grown man. So I've definitely learned that that's not my place. But one in particular is when he's really stressed out or he's planning something. He's usually planning something like 10 steps ahead. He's usually always thinking about the future. And I would interrupt those moments because I feel like it would bring insecurity. Like, are you mad at me? Because he's just in deep thought. And I would ask him something and he doesn't even hear me. And I'm like, hello, did you hear me? And then while my feelings are hurt and I'm taking it serious, personally, it wasn't even anything personal. It was, he was planning. He had something that was important that was on his mind. And then I'm sitting over here pouting, acting like a spoiled brat about it. And then come out even more. And then we get into a dumb argument about something so silly as to, I wanted to know if you wanted baked chicken or fried chicken and you ain't answering me. And, this silliness over silliness. And he's like, I don't even want to choose. I got to choose where we're going to live. Like, or I got to choose what, how I'm going to pay this bill, pay that bill. Like, I don't care about what you got going on right now. And that used to offend me. But at the end of the day, I've learned that men carry so much weight and we have to and I have to understand that. And I have to, when he's in those moments where he's stressed out or in deep thought, I need to give him quietness. I need to feed him and move along and let him think. And so I can get the good attention later. Don't force his will to give me his attention if he's not ready to give me that attention right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's important for us to recognize those moments. I think it was one of the things that Steve Harvey, I know a lot of guys was like, Steve Harvey and his book, they fussed about the book that he wrote about, the perspective of a man when he's entering into a relationship, why he's entering into a relationship, and the idea that he needs to be a provider. So like your husband, he's planning all these things and he's prepping for the future and he's trying to build all this out. And yet we as women, and that's why I say we're so not simple, because we do that. We definitely, because we're so emotional. We're emotional creatures. So oftentimes, we're driven by our emotions and we speak out of those, and we can be very nitpicky when it comes to those things. Because I'm like you ladies, definitely have been. I even do it with my kids, when they do the dishes or when they empty the dishwasher, because I'm old school. I like washing with my hands, put them in the dishwasher to dry. And if they don't put them where they belong, I'm coming back, y'all always doing this, and blah, blah, blah. But we have to remember, when we're not saying things out of love and we're truly not saying things to actually teach or to motivate or for prosperity or anything like that, most oftentimes we don't need to say it at all. With that being said, hit the Cash App, Black Man Unfiltered. Definitely remember to hit that like button and subscribe to this network. Beautiful content, beautiful people. I love the people that I've met in this space, and I look forward to these conversations. So yeah, nitpicky stuff. That's what we're talking about right now.
Wait, what about you? Have you gone yet?
No, I hadn't. But that's me. I could share those same things. So that, and then I'm a social butterfly. I'm a extroverted introvert. So I don't mind being at home in my own space, minding my own business. I truly prefer to be that way. But of course, I'm also a mom. My son plays sports, and I like to be involved mainly because I like to keep up with my son. So I volunteer. I make sure that he's taken care of, the team's taken care of, because when they are, he is. So I like to be involved. And so it's a pet peeve of mine. I mean, well, I guess that's a pet peeve, nitpicky stuff I do. It's on me. I'm imperfectly perfect. I don't do nothing wrong. But I do those same things. And I don't like quiet. I don't like the quiet. So that gives me anxiety. So if I'm in a relationship and we get quiet for too long, yeah, that kind of drives me a little banana, especially when I'm wanting the attention, right?
Yeah.
Because yeah, I'm that pissy. If I want the attention and I need your attention, give me that attention, because that's what I require. I'm a queen. It's what I deserve, right? But I also give that same love because I expect that same love. So, and when I don't get it, I get a little pissy and I get sarcastic. Case in point, so the guy I'm dating, there's an event that was coming up, and told me about the event and said, we're not going. And I said, okay. We didn't even have a discussion. We're not going, and we're not going for these reasons. And I said, oh, okay, that's fine. So that's the decision you're going to make, We ain't had no discussion. I ain't know. And I'm like, okay. So basically you telling me that you're not going to support a family member based upon these, I want to say, petty ass reasons that you've come up with. Okay. But I didn't say that. I just said, so basically you're telling me these are the reasons you're choosing not to go. Well, no, this is the reason. And so he went on to try to validate those reasons. And I said, okay, so this individual that you're choosing not to support is one of the same individuals. When you make a like-minded decision, you're going to want them to support you, right? Well, I mean, I don't care, truly. That's how you feel. All right, King. Well, if that's the decision you're going to make, go ahead, go for it. Well, no, let's talk about it. No, I'm good. You made your decision.
Guess the wheel turning a little bit.
I can be the biggest asshole I want to be sometimes. And I almost was willing to, because I was having a shitty day. So I almost wanted to just say, you know what? You got it. Go for it. Your decision made, done, So I can be that nitpick, and I'm stubborn enough to stand on it. But I'm learning that that I have to get past that. So we did have a conversation about it. And so the wheels are still turning, and we hadn't made an official decision whether or not we'll go to that event. But it's now a topic of discussion versus it being an open and closed book. And so I gracefully articulated my reasons and for us to think about it. And he was like, you know what, you're kind of right. I can't argue. But we have to be tactful in doing some of those things. So, but yeah, I felt myself going down that nasty spiral of, all right, you good. So that's one of my little nitpicky things I do. I combat any type of thing that don't, not so much as necessarily go my way, but I definitely come back with some BS. With that being said, Gail at Night, for the $5 super chat or the super sticker with the high five, to you, Queen.
Hey, Gail.
All right, thank you so much. Can we get okay? He got down with that little hip there and that clap.
I'm not ready for that.
Bust that high five for Gail. That clap and that super chat.
Thanks, Gail.
So thank you so much for that.
I always get caught, man.
Yeah.
I am Ronnie.
So like with my ex, first issue was okay. He worked in law enforcement, so he's always in the uniform. So when we would go to the movies, he's in a graphic shirt that looks old and busted. It didn't have no holes in it, but it still look old and busted with some jeans and stuff. I'm out here looking all cute and shit, right? So the second or third time, it didn't go past 3 times, okay? So the second or third time, I was like, do you have another shirt other than that? Like a polo shirt or something? Because that's what my dad wore. Like, if he's dressed down, he's at the minimum, he's dressing in a polo shirt. And he was like, yeah. Now, mind you, before this all happened, I told him that I'm straightforward and I'm a blunt person. You know, he said he was cool with it. He could handle it. He said he could handle it.
You know that was a lie.
Hey. I give you facts and truths, and you know what I say to you is real. So that's the way I'm going to take it until you prove me wrong or prove yourself wrong. So yeah, he switched to a polo shirt, and then like the next day or something, he's like, I didn't like, you know, you putting me down about my shirt and blah blah blah. I was like, I told y'all straightforward and blunt. You say you can take it.
What did you say?
Right?
It's probably how she said it. It's how. It's how. We can be straightforward, and people get that misconception. Oh, I'm straightforward, I'm blunt, but you have to be tactful when you're presenting, especially, I'm not going to say hurtful information, but information that can be taken the wrong way or that may be harmful to someone's, you know.
I just wanted a polo shirt.
Well, just like we don't want a man to tell us that we really look fat in that dress. We have to,
right. No. You tell me.
But here's how you tell us though. And this is where, and I'm with Auntie, I don't want you to tell me I'm looking fat in the shirt I got on. I want you to be very graceful when you approach me and correct me. You know, that's one of those pet peeves I have. You have to be careful how you approach me. And I'm not saying I'm no type of way, but I don't want to be offended, because then I don't want to be defensive also, because that's where we go back and forth as men and women, to where, you know, we're oftentimes deemed angry, because when you tell me girl, what the hell you think you going with that on? That's one way. But when you tell me, hey babe, there's another dress that I kind of like to, you to wear. You mind putting that on? Let me see that, versus what you got on. Tell me that. But to tell somebody, bruh, your shirt look like, you had the whole wash. What's that commercial? I think it was a Tide or something commercial where the neck was all stretched out of place. And, bro, where do you think you going with that shirt on? And I'm only saying that because I had a similar conversation where I pulled one of my asshole moves. I was dating this guy, and when we first started dating, one of the things I said, hey, I got a kid. I'm very big into, what we got going on, with the team and all. So one of our first dates was to a team function. And so he asked, how did he need to dress? And so it was one of the homecoming parties. And for anybody that's in Texas, they treat Little League like it's the Super Bowl of Little League football and all of that other stuff, right? So we had a homecoming dance. And the theme was, I think, country western or something like that. So, of course, I let my son dress up how he wanted to dress up. I didn't really dress up in no country western thing, but I just put on some nice clothes, just casual clothes. So he said, how do you think I should go? And I said, I don't know, just probably a nice shirt. I'm like you, probably like nice polo shirts and jeans, I mean, that'll be comfortable enough. As long as you're comfortable, I'm good, right?
Yeah.
All right, fine. So leading up to the event, it's like the day of. He asked me again, what should I wear? And I was like, but I already said, well, you trying to tell me how to dress? And I said, literally, you asked me, what should you put on? And I simply said, a polo style shirt and some jeans. I say, but again, wear whatever you feel comfortable in wearing. Child, this fool put on some blue jean shorts, and I think they were maybe like a black stonewash or something, a t-shirt, and this is the summer in Texas because I want to say this is probably September, so it was still pretty warm. But he put on some Timberland boots. They weren't laced up, and yeah, that's how he chose to dress. And so when I looked at him, I said,
How do you get that from polo shirt and jeans?
Right.
Girl. I said, He said, what? This okay? I said, you comfortable? If you comfortable, I'm comfortable. Because guess what I'm finna do? This me in my head. I'm finna go on my kids' event. You finna look like that, homeboy. Because I gave you my answer. I told you my thoughts. And you chose to do whatever you chose to do. So when we make it to the event, he see people getting out of the vehicles and he's looking like, oh my God, I'm so underdressed and blah, blah, blah. Why didn't you tell me? Bro, I told you, literally. You asked me what to wear and I suggested a nice polo shirt, probably some jeans or something. You should have been good. Well, I'm so underdressed. I'm not going in there looking like that. And I was like,
that's your problem.
Because guess what me and my baby did? Went right on in that homecoming dance. And he said right in that car, blowed my phone up cussing and fussing. You in there talking to them niggas and blah, 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 blah. You got me sitting out here looking like, bruh, you did that to yourself. I can be a butthole when I want to be. And that's a problem I got. And so, yeah. But I said it nicely.
But yeah, I mean, that's a crazy story because he did ask you. It's one thing if your man asks you, but if you are in a situation where he doesn't look too well, I think, like you said, saying it in a tactful way, because I mean, for men, they feel emasculated when a woman is just straight up, nah, that's trash, you need to change. They feel like you're treating them like a child and it's emasculating to them when a woman does it. Now, they boys say something, oh, it's all jokey, but for, due to the way men are wired, it's just when women speak to them a certain way, they feel disrespected and emasculated. So I love what you said earlier, that it's our delivery, is how we deliver that message, and being blunt isn't always okay, especially with a partner, a husband or a boyfriend or something like that. I think that that part of you should be a little bit more softened for him.
I can't turn it off. I used to be like the kind of person that, I wait for the other person to break up with me, or I would beat around the bush and stuff like that until I realized that wasn't working right, because it's like it leads to misunderstandings. Because if you're not straight to the point, it leaves an opening for them to interpret it incorrectly, right? Well, yeah, and so that's how I started that's what pushed me to being blunt and straightforward. The problem is I can't go back.
TJ, were
Yeah,
you
but
gonna
we
say
can learn. We
something?
can learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to turn it off sometimes, whatever. But it's like I can't. I'm stuck. So hey, if one of y'all can unstick me, I'll be happy.
Go ahead,
I'm
TJ.
here to help.
Yeah.
I'm here to help. You know, don't let the smooth taste fool you. The kind, soft-spoken person that you hear right now is not the person I've always been.
Yeah.
I'm a 20-plus year military veteran in 2 branches of the military. I'm a single mother while raising, I was a senior person in the federal government, and all I knew was being in your face. I am a strong woman of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and we are full of opinionated women. But one of the things I learned, because someone's put a comment in one of the TikTok videos because I was on Shay Sharday and she did an interview and she posted some of it on TikTok, and someone said, who's going to wait to be 50 to be in a marriage or whatever? And I said, better late than never. So my point being is that, as I stated, being in the military, a lot of times I couldn't turn it off. When I would go home and be, I'd still take the uniform off, but that persona was still there. And that would really affect relationships that I was in, because I'm still in that posture, not just what I was saying, but how I was saying it, because in the military, you talk with your mouth and your hands, you're doing like this. So again, this right here. So one of the things I said is that all the failed relationships I had, and I'm not proud of them, but it helped me to prepare for my husband. So when because there was a situation that, my husband, he used to be a football player. Well, he's a lot smaller now. So I said, you're not Big Lou anymore. You're medium Lou. So he lost a lot of weight, and he was wearing these big ass clothes. So I went and bought him a suit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he would like that I bought him a suit. Well, when he tried the suit on, he took offense to it because I thought I was doing something nice for him. So, like you, beautifully animated, he says, or something to, I think it was you that said it. He said, well, or maybe it was you, Queen Smile. He said, well, are you trying to change me? Because if you're trying to change me, I don't this, that, and the other. I said, babe, I'm not trying to change you. I said, what I love about you, I would never change. I said, but you work really hard for this body. I said, you should wear something that complements it.
Nice.
And so,
in a loving way.
That's how I couched
Nice.
it. And so when he looked at himself in the mirror, he said, you know what? You're right. You're not going to have no more problems out of me. So because I took the opportunity to say, you've worked hard for this body. I said, wouldn't you want to do the same for me? I said, you're wearing clothes that's too big for you. It just doesn't flatter you anymore. But when I was saying it, my voice was soft, sweet.
Yeah. You can tell that you also, like, your intention was out of love. Like, you can tell when someone wants to change you or when you want to change that other person to be some type of, picture of what you're thinking they should be or whatever. But at the same time, when you're doing it in a loving way, like, oh, let's say I saw my brother-in-law wearing this. Hey, would you like this? Like, if I ever got you a pair of these, would you wear them? I think they would look really good on you. And if he's like, no, I don't like that. Okay, that's fine. I just think you're so handsome or whatever. And I just wanted to see what they would look like on you. It's just like doing things like that versus, why don't you ever wear these types of clothes? It's like, come on, like that's not a good approach. Like, no one wants to be, talked to that way. So
yeah.
Totally agree. Hey to everybody in the chat that's popping up. I do like what Jenny said just a few moments ago. Those L's that we take in life, I don't think we're losing at any point. I call those learning lessons, and all those learning lessons that we face kind of prepare us for where we are right now in life. And so we just pick things up along the way. And so in having these conversations, that's our main purpose. is to give and show that love to women who are like us or who on their journey, just like we're on our journey, because life is not a destination. We're still learning and growing each and every day. Our topic of tonight was big deal, little deal, in regards to better relationships and mental health. And we have to choose. Like in looking at ourselves and looking at our mates, we have to choose what's a big deal for us. What's a little deal for us? Is that shirt he's wearing truly a big deal, or is that a little deal? And then make that decision to move forward. Some stuff is just truly small things to a giant. But I will say, when we truly don't like somebody and we truly ain't feeling that person, we do tend to say stuff a little more harsh than we would if it was somebody we were kind of feeling, because we find ourselves as women, we digging on somebody, we be like, hey baby, you think you might want to you might want to, I like to see this, but then if it's somebody you're going and you already aggravated because he showed them, like, here it is, bad enough I ain't want to go out with your tail in the first place. I ain't got nothing else to do on this Friday night. Here your ass go with this old overly stretched out t-shirt. You pushing it. So then we have that mindset of, bruh, like, you ain't gonna put on another shirt, versus, hey, you okay? You look all cute, I sure would like to see you in a polo. Let me see what that body like. We approach it different, when we're really feeling somebody.
When he came at me like, I hurt his feelings and stuff like that, I'm just like, I told you how I am, and then I also explained that what I said to you all, the as far as like comfortability and stuff like that. My dad wore polo shirts. That's what I'm used to.
That's what you're used to, but you can't force that on anybody else. That's one of the things we have to do. We have to show love to get love.
What you say though? I want to know.
You're saying I'm used to polo shirts because that's what my daddy did. That's your daddy. I had to tell my ex-husband I wanted to fix him some soup because he was sick. He was like, I'm gonna go to my mama's house and get some soup. And I was an honorary asshole. I was. And you know what I told him? Before I can even think the next statement, literally think the next statement, because I said it before I even thought. I'm like, hey, I'm finna fix you some soup. I'm going to my mama's house. She fixed me soup. I say, so you gonna fuck your mama too? I mean, because what we doing? What I'm here for? I had a mouth. I had a mouth on me. Auntie, this wasn't even the military. Auntie, it was so bad in my childhood, and then my sister and my listen. I'm sure my sister listening in. It was so bad, even as a teenager, my mama put me out because my mouth was so fly, and me and my sister would go back and forth. We would roll. I was the baby of 6, so I had to, my little old 5'2" self had to show myself, because y'all big old butts ain't finna punk me around just because I'm the baby, okay? I'm a little piece of leather, my daddy would say, but well put together, okay? So you ain't finna punk me, okay, and saying whatever, and I'm gonna stand on whatever I say with my chest, And so that's how I was as a kid. As a kid, I had to learn and grow, not just in my personal life to mend my relationship with my family, but also in my professional life. Also in my relationships, where I would say whatever came to my mind. And if it hurt your feelings, guess what? That wasn't my problem. That was your problem. Because my feelings were intact. And so I had to grow as a person. Yeah, I know. It was bad, JT. I'm sorry. I was a fool. And I can honestly say that, but it was those L's, those broken relationships where I had to take a step back, like Coach K, and do an assessment of myself. Like, Sylvia, you out your mind. Sylvia, you out your mind. I had to be okay with looking myself in the mirror and be like, you know what, Queen? You got some stuff you need to do, okay? And I can't blame it on the military. It worked well for me in the military, because you best believe I ain't had not a problem at first. Every once in a while I have to check some people on some stuff because they think I'm cute with little waist, little face, and they thought I was, oh, she's so cute, but I carry my weight, and unfortunately for me, I didn't have to use sex to grow in rank. I used pen and paper. I used my mind. I showed my skills. And because of that, I had to eat some stuff too, because I wasn't easily pushed over that way. And Auntie can attest to it. When you want to make a name for yourself, okay, in a male-dominated society, okay, it's hard. And you truly have to
call me to this day to ask me for, because I will get with you. But see, again, I'm a kinder, gentler person. but don't let the smooth taste fool you. But I had to
Yeah.
learn that. So my point to you, beautifully animated, it can be undone, but we just have to practice. We have to
We have to
practice.
practice.
And
Only if you
it
want to,
became
yeah.
what is it worth to me? And it was worth it to me, whether it was my husband or who my future husband, it was worth it to
Yeah.
me to want to have that that interaction. So
Right.
and one last thing, I don't want to dominate, but one of my bosses told me, he's a Black man.
Mhm.
He told me, and he was a senior executive. He told me because he's a Black man, when he would reprimand employees, he would soften his voice. And I said, sir, why would you do that? He said, because I know as a Black man and a dark Black man that my presence in and of itself can be intimidating. Right. So I'm going to soften my voice. And I learned that from him. And particularly in personal life. Because he was talking about in a professional setting, when he's about to nail into someone, he said he softens his voice and he sits down. Because to stand over someone being big and Black and talking, verbose, it was intimidating. So again, as a woman, I'm learning to do that too. And I don't have to learn that, but I don't have to remind myself to do it with my husband, but I do have to remind myself when I'm engaged in other business transactions, because she's still in there. Don't, she in there.
She ain't going nowhere.
But I have to put her in her box.
Yeah.
What we don't realize is this is a cultural thing. Especially in the Black community, we're taught to be strong and robust, and we were celebrated for that until ish hit the fan, and then our mom was like, I can't deal with you because you're your mouth. But a lot of times we were taught to be that way. We were taught to be so independent and strong, and they thought they were protecting us, when in reality it was setting us up for failure if marriage, if working with a man was going to be in our future. Because we all see now that we're older that that's just not going to work. And if we continue down that road, we're going to keep attracting effeminate men that need us, men that need you to play mom for them. And we get upset that we keep attracting these men, but a lot of times it's due to our own nature. Like what's her name? Chantel Simone, she speaks about that a lot because she was very independent. She was always career minded, and she kept attracting these men that just want to suck and drain from her and use her car and all of these other things and suck the resources out of her. And it was because of her demeanor and because of her being so willing to take charge. You will end up attracting men that don't want to take charge.
Right.
And our culture and our family don't realize that they're setting us up for failure.
Yeah.
Can I answer real quick? Yeah, I wanted to answer Mr. Bennett's comment. So he says, but is that who you still are? Have you truly changed by subtraction of bad habits or by the addition of better habits? Can you truly change your instinctive nature? I wanted to answer that real quick. I do.
Yeah. Right before you answer that, Coach K, we're going to go ahead and drop the link. I would love to hear what men have to say about this conversation. So if we have some men that are willing to come up, even ladies, if you want to come up and share your thoughts as well. Big deal, little deal in your relationships. What are deal breakers? What are things that you're working on so you can change to better successfully, kind of manage your relationship and the emotional well-being of you and your mate, versus stressing yourself out constantly, thinking everything, every interaction, every hiccup or friction is a big deal. Let's talk about it. And then what are ways you yourself are growing? And then, And so in regards to mental health, Coach K is a counselor. She counsels kids, but as well as being able to shed some light on some of these items. But go ahead and answer Paul's Paul's question, and we'll continue the conversation.
Yeah, for sure. And I will say how kind of both things, how this does align or is connected to mental health is how if you're getting worked up over things that are optional, like if it's a big deal or a little deal, that's you get to decide. So if everything's a big deal, you're going to be stressed and frustrated and angry and mad all the time. And how mentally healthy are you at that point? How can you handle things that aren't within your control from a, a strong place, the things that, bad day at work or whatever, when you're frustrated over things that really aren't that big of a deal, but you get to decide. And that's what I tell my clients all the time. But and I just like skipped over that real quick. But to Mr. Bennett's question, I think it's both. I think that because I used to have and I still do sometimes, but I used to have a mouth on me. But so I would drop just that instant knee jerk reaction to run my mouth and to act out of anger and to not even like question what I was saying and where it was coming from. That was a bad habit. I dropped that. And then I picked up a new healthy habit, which was awareness and questioning, okay, do I want to think this? Why am I thinking this? Do I like what this could, possibly create like emotionally for me? And if I do, how can I go about this? So I think it's both. Everyone has different, temperaments and things like that. Some people like I'm more outgoing than my twin sister. But if you're being like nasty towards people, I don't think that's your nature. I think, let's all be reasonable and honest with ourselves. How you're treating other people, I think there's a fine line, but I
Well,
could
we
go
know
on about that for days.
There are nasty people. They just, you know what I'm saying? It's just, you can't understand them.
There definitely are. And when I see people like that, I just, I try not to judge because, again, I don't know what's going on in their life. Or let's say someone that I do know. I'm like, okay, they're just not managing themselves. They're
Right.
not taking responsibility for their own ish, but
Right.
yeah,
Right.
it's sad.
But Coach K, you said you you want to know what I said, like exactly.
Yeah.
That is exactly what I said.
What'd you say?
I said I don't, I don't like that shirt, because I'll be dressed nice jeans,
Mhm.
nice casual top, whatever, makeup done, all this stuff,
Mhm.
and he's coming out like he's about to mow the lawn and stuff.
So what did you make that mean? That he like didn't give a Can we? I don't know if we can.
No,
Cut that
it's
out,
not
I'm
that.
gonna be careful, but
It's
yeah.
not
What did you make that mean?
I do better. Just do better. You know what I'm saying? And because that day that he talked about it, like
Okay.
I heard his feelings. He was like, I'm so tired of wearing uniforms, and I just, I want to be comfortable. And I was like, I get that. I understand that.
Do you though?
Yeah. But polo shirts is just as comfortable as t-shirts to me.
Yeah. Maybe he like didn't know. Like maybe he did, maybe he didn't. You know what I mean? But like
I don't think he knew. And so when I brought to his attention and stuff like that, he started wearing polo shirts.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Mm-hmm. So did you feel like that because you got the result you wanted that you should continue to do things that way?
I told you I'm a blunt person, straightforward and stuff like that. It's hard. I've watched other people how they handle things and stuff like that. It's like for some reason when it comes to me, I just can't do it. But it's not like I'm trying. I am trying to get better and be more softer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm saying I'm good. I ain't gonna change. Like I just don't give a shit. Like you know what I'm saying? No.
Go ahead, Auntie.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get at. Do you recognize if it is a problem? So you saying that you do, but
I told him my intention was not to hurt his feelings.
Okay.
But I also told him that I told you that I'm a straight up, to the point, blunt person. And so he's witnessed it. You know what I'm saying? So like what I'm talking about.
So you want him to accept that is what you're saying. Okay.
I mean,
Because you keep going back and forth. You're trying to
made me laugh.
change, but this is who I am anyways. And that's why I'm asking. I'm trying to ask in different ways so I can get a clear answer. But I understand you're probably just in that transition of even realizing that it was even a problem in the first place.
Yeah. But I mean, that was years back, whatever.
TJ, you had
And I'm
something?
still a blunt person.
Go ahead, TJ.
I'm really trying to decide how I want to approach this. In no shape, way, or form do I want to be seem like I know it all or anything, because I truly don't. But I was listening to Beautifully Animated Speaks, and I remember
Mm-hmm.
definitely when I was in the military and I was on my rise, and I was like, I'm not changing for nobody. I'm direct, I'm blunt. And I used to say, if you want to know what I think, I'm going to tell you. And even if you don't ask, I'm going to tell you. And you're going to have to deal with it. This is who I am, blah, blah. And I thought that was appealing. I thought that was appealing. I thought that a man would really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was surprised to find, and I say that sarcastically, when I was going through my therapy and then examining the various relationships I was having and the men that I was attracting, and I was surprised that, the shit didn't work. Okay.
Yeah.
So I say that to say, and I used to always say, and I used to boast about, I said, the man for me is the man that can tell me to be quiet and I respect him enough to do it because I'm this and I'm that.
Oh, I said that one time.
But it's still true. But the way he tells me to be quiet has changed, because I used to think that you have to meet me with my energy. And that's not really what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I wanted. And I thought, because when Mr. Randolph speaks, and he's like E.F. Hutton. Y'all too young to know who E.F. Hutton is, but that was a commercial. When E.F. Hutton spoke, everybody was quiet. So
Right.
when he has a little extra bass in his voice, I'll be quiet. And I'll be talking again. I'll be talking again. But I had to learn that, and he has never. It's so funny for him to hear how I used to be, and people tell him who knew me in college, and and they said, because he's never seen that person. He's never, and part of it, and I've asked about the question about mental health, because part of that is I had to get in touch with my own mental health struggles, because I had them and still have them.
Yeah,
I still have them.
And so that's one of my questions that I have for the panel. We always focusing on self-care, because we have to do that. We have to put in the work as individuals. I myself, I've gone through counseling. I didn't specifically do it for relationships, but when I did go, we did touch on relationships and how my personality and how, the actions I was taking in life. And mine wasn't more so it was, I had this head down, getting to the grind and allowing everything else to pass me by. And happen I guess in my peripheral, and I wasn't dealing with everything. So I wasn't dealing with my family like I needed to. I wasn't trying to build those relationships. I wasn't trying to nurture or do any work. In all of that, I was just like, I was so reactionary. All right, this just happened in life. I need to get this done. This just happened. I need to fix this. This just happened. I was head down in the groove, just trying to conquer, do to everything else. I had no emotions to.
Right.
So I had to get back to that part of myself and get back in the caring of, hey, in order to receive love, in order to feel, to be a friend, I had to be friendly. To get that love, I had to show love. I had to do the work to do all of those things to get to where I am. And I'm still on that journey because even my friends now, I've met new friends here in Dallas, and I got one, Tangie B. She's told me a couple times, Civvy Smile, I ain't heard from you in weeks. I'm still waiting on you to call me back, 3 Tuesdays ago. And I'm like, girl, I'm here, but I'm still trying to manage me, head down in the dirt. I got things to do. I got things to accomplish. I'm going through something. Maybe the kids are going through something, whatever's happening that I'm having to react to. I need to focus on that, and I can't focus on everybody else that's around me. And we often hear men say, oh, if you jump into a relationship with a woman and she has kids, you will never be a priority. That's not always the case. We just have to constantly do the work so we can give everybody outside of those action items that need to be taken care of. We have to do the work to give those items that we truly care and love that attention. So it's possible, but it's hard work. It's a hard balancing act. So my question is, we talk about self-care all the time, but are we doing relationship care as well? Are we maintaining our relationships? Are we maintaining our marriages? Some of y'all been married for quite a while. Some of y'all been in relationships for a long period of time. What are you doing to keep that exciting, to maintain that relationship, to maintain that mate? What's going on there, ladies? Do y'all got some nuggets to drop to everybody that's listening? How can we as women kind of better nurture those relationships, or is it still a hard feat?
I think the best way to nurture a relationship is to put your partner first. And then when you do that, they'll put you first. And then it just becomes this fluid balance and it will always remain, I mean, of course we're going to have our bad days, but that joy of knowing and that security of knowing that I'm his first and he's my first. I got his back, he has my back. When you have that security, it's hard to stay mad. It's hard to hold on to the things that make you angry. I think also forgiveness is huge because you want to be forgiven when you make a mistake. So give that forgiveness freely as much as you can and really work on honing in on your own emotions. I think is really good to be introspective, always looking within, even if you feel like there's something going wrong, you don't like how he's moving or whatever that may be. Even in those moments, say, okay, let me just take a moment, let me breathe. What can I do that I can control? Because we can't control him. So when you put your mind on the things that you can control, it could set an environment that will make that man want to change without you even saying a word. You're upset about not getting the attention, so go give him some attention. Give him the things that you want, like Queen Smiley said, which is great advice. You have to, give out what you want, and then when you do that, you'll get what you want.
Yeah. I mean, as long as the balance is good, being the good outweighs the bad.
It may not always be a balance either. It may not be a balance. It may be off, and I mean super off. To where in the current relationship that I'm in right now, initially looking at this individual, I'm like, I know I have a slight bit of an attitude, but he has one also, and I'm like, God, dog, is that something I'm willing to even embark upon? Can I take that bite? Because for somebody to have a little more bite than I do, I'm like, oof, that's how you gotta look at it. It's like, ooh, I don't even know if I want to do this. But me having to acknowledge, is it a big deal or a little deal? Are we truly balanced or are we not? But I'm willing to put in the work to see, right?
Yeah.
I'm willing to not so much as test the waters, but I'm willing to be patient enough to, hey, I think there's something that I want to do, and I'm gonna put the work in,
Right.
Yeah.
It's almost, if I can say one more
go
thing,
ahead.
it's almost like that. No, not doing the 50-50, because when you do 50-50, it's always nitpicking. Oh, he's slacking here, so I'm not gonna do this.
Yep.
Give 100 all times. He may be giving 50 and you giving 100. But when you do that, it will eventually balance out. But there are times when it's not balanced, like you said. That was great.
And here's the thing, I don't
No,
even know if we're balanced right now. We're just
but
trying to see where we are, right? We don't know if we
Right.
50-50 or what we got going on. Now we've touched upon financial status, education. So we checking all the boxes to see, what we've acquired in life, to see, how we match and meet, and then what we wanting. Are we truly dating for marriage? Blended families, and we having those conversations. But when it comes to true compatibility and being in the same space, we have to go through that part, right? We hadn't gone through that yet because this is still super new. So we have to kind of figure that out. And I know going in, it ain't going to be 50-50 at some point. So
when I say balancing, right, I'm talking about the happy times outweighing the bad. Like you're like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're happy more than you're hurt and stuff like that. That's what I'm talking about.
So what I'll say is two things. So anything really in life is going to be 50-50. So in half the time, it seems like we're hurt or the negative is, 80-20 because we suffer because we're experiencing a negative time. So let's say you're in the dating stage and you're not like living together or anything. Sometimes it's hard for me to like go back to that time, but let's say, your guy can't make it to a date you had planned. Okay, that sucks. Like, yeah, let's acknowledge that sucks. Then it's a naturally like negative moment, but are you going to then pout and be pissy for the rest of the time and draw it out, therefore creating more of a negative experience for yourself versus, just feeling that negative emotion and then, it's a new day the next day or whatever. Because we need that contrast. It's just we make more negative moments for ourselves when we suffer because we're unhappy about being unhappy, if that makes sense.
that goes back to the big deal, little deal,
Mhm.
deciding whether or not it's truly a big deal. And then, and if it is a big deal, kind of document why is this a big deal for me? Is it
Mhm.
because it was a past experience that's bringing up these negative feelings that I had in the past? Have I been in this place before and it's just truly uncomfortable for me?
Mm-hmm.
Or yes, there were true feelings that were hurt, so mentally, yeah, this is something we need to have a conversation about. But when you find yourself in those moments where you feel like, oh, this is all bad, more bad than it is good, taking that initial assessment to say, why am I feeling this way?
Mhm.
Is it truly something this individual has done? Or is this something that I'm experiencing as an individual? Are
Mhm.
these feelings truly mine? Because what we can't do oftentimes is force our emotions on individuals, right?
Mhm. And
Our
blame
feelings are
them.
true and they're true to us. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
where I may feel like Auntie stepped on my toes for something she said, those may not be her feelings. She had no intent to step on my toes. I felt that way because I experienced something in my past to where what she said kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Had nothing to do with her per se, but
Mhm.
those feelings were mine. I shouldn't blow up on her or anybody
Mhm.
else because of the way I'm feeling. So
Right.
we're having to own ourselves, our feelings, and kind of look at ourselves to truly ask ourselves a question. And that's in our relationships. When those guys do things that we feel that are just, hey, he stood us up this time. He stood us up, this may be the second, third time this has happened. But then ask yourself the question, are you scheduling things and events around both y'all's schedule? Okay. That's something to ask. Why are we coming to this point always? Why is it always, yeah, I had this going on, but something came up? Is it truly something came up, or I'm just poor at planning? Or is he
Right.
not checking his calendar and he's poor at,
Right.
he's committing to too many things at once, and then whether or not is it the case that he's truly just not making you a priority?
Right.
That's a different conversation.
Right.
But go ahead, Auntie. But we have to make those assessments when we decide whether it's a big deal or a little deal.
Mhm.
Well, going back to what family values, as far as how do you, I think the question you had, Queen, is that how do you keep the relationship something? I can't remember
Yeah,
exactly.
I asked. We focus on self care, but do we focus on relationship care?
I swear again, I'm a clinging, sounding drum is because I'm saying the same thing over and over again, and I guess because I'm so damn
But
happy.
if it makes sense, it makes sense. You hear me?
I guess I'm so damn happy that I found love at 51. Because I said, Mr. Randolph, you ain't going nowhere. I got you. So,
I mean, there is no too late on finding love until you die.
Okay.
Mhm.
So,
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
so I'm always complimenting him. I'm always doing things for him. If I see something, of course I'm doing things around the house for him. And one of the things I do, I'm always paying attention to him. So whether he says anything or not, I know what's going on. And then I'm always flirting with him.
Mm-hmm.
Always. I'm like, there's
Yum,
that
yum, yum.
like going back to what you said about the polo shirt. I said, oh, there's that chest I like.
Right.
Look at that. Look at them arms.
So I'm always,
Yes.
and again, even when he has said to me, even when he may be in a bad mood and I haven't quite tuned in that he's in the bad mood, I'll say something like I'll flirt with him or like I'll do something. And he said, you always can make me smile, even when I'm in a bad mood. And so I said, that's my job. That's my job.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that because, again, to God be the glory. Hey, I'm like, Mr. Randolph, you ain't going nowhere. I don't care how much time we got, but we gonna enjoy this thing together.
That's it.
I love that.
Yeah. I'm with Auntie on that. I love dating my king. So I like scheduling events, places to go, things to do, and I'll plan it out to the T. And just say, come along for the ride. And I do that because I expect those things in return. And I'm with you, Auntie. I like complimenting my man because I don't want nothing nobody else want to look at. So give me that beautiful smile, give me that nice body. Woo, child. Yeah, I'm with it. So we have our first guest, Dr. Steele, in the building. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. Talk to us. What you have to share with us?
I came in late, in this conversation, but I see where you're talking about mental health and relationships. And, one thing I would say is that you should have your mentality right even before you try to go out on a date.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever issues that you're dealing with in your life, you have, it's better to take care of them, before you go into a date, because, it's both men and women.
That's right.
You have to, before, it takes two to make a relationship. And, if one, doesn't have the mind right, that's when the relationship becomes, really toxic.
Mm-hmm.
And also you're gonna have trying things in your relationship. But if your mind's not right, you cannot deal with those bad situations, efficiently. It's all gonna come to chaos. So, please, before you go out to, before you go on a date, or talk about, seeking a relationship, make sure your mind is right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Well,
like trying
I always
to
say-
lift with a muscle that's not healed. Like if your muscle is already kind of damaged, you're not going to be lifting to like your fullest potential, right? So it's like kind of like that.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I always
Kimberly.
say that people need to be mentally, emotionally healthy before going into a relationship, because even you don't want to put things on the other person, but also if you're mentally damaged, like you're dealing with you're dealing with depression and stuff like that, you're also not going to, it puts blinders on you. Depression blinds you to things, and you may be a toxic person and not even know it, because you're dealing with your mind is stuck in depression, so you don't see the other person for who they are.
So you're just happy just to be with somebody to get you out of that state of depression.
Right. Then what happens, let's say if it doesn't work?
I wouldn't say happy, but it's a
distraction.
Distraction, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I get it. I
Well,
get what you're
as
saying.
someone who has been formally diagnosed with major depressive disorder and anxiety, I can definitely speak to that. And before I was diagnosed in 2007, I looked back over the course of my life and it made a lot of sense. When you are in relationships, you're supposed to be focusing on that other person.
Yeah.
So you are not healed. You are not dealing with yourself because you're focusing on that other person. So you
Yeah.
don't take the time to do the necessary work.
Yeah.
Well, I had done the work, and in my particular case, I believe the work is continuous because of my condition. What are you doing? But because of my self awareness, that's my dog. Because of my self awareness, I was able to articulate those things to Mr. Randolph when we started dating. Because, bless you, because, bless you, because it was important for him to know who he was dealing with, to
Right.
be able to make an informed decision if he wanted to
Yeah.
take that on. And
Yeah.
we're still together.
Yeah. But that goes back to some of the things we initially said. You have to know yourself and know exactly what you're wanting. And you have to put that work in. Because like Coach K said, that muscle has to be healing in order for us to embark upon anything. And Dr. Steele, you said it. We have to be ready to go into these waters when it comes to dating before we even step out there. And beautifully animated, you said the same thing in regards to being able to deal with ourselves
Yeah.
before we do it and doing those self assessments. But like y'all mentioned, the work has to be done.
Yeah.
The work has to
Yep.
be done before we go that far, and being able to, like Auntie said, articulate that. Like this
Yeah.
is not so much as this is who I am now. Deal with it. This is what I'm going through. This is what I've experienced. This is what I'm doing to manage myself. So you tell me, is this something you're willing to do? Because we have to do that. We're not going to find that perfect person that check all our boxes, right? We're not going to find the 6'2" dark chocolate, well-built man with this cert. We have to not so much as meet people where they are, but we'll get half of those things. And Hink said it before. Shout out to Hink. I saw him in the chat earlier. If you're still there, we appreciate you. But Hink has said it before. If you ain't checking off 80%, 90% of the boxes that I'm willing to do, or I'm willing to go on this journey with, then guess what? Leave them at the restaurant. Because if you've taken the time to know yourself, to learn yourself, to love yourself, know exactly what you want, don't go into anything half stepping. And Beautiful
Right.
Animated Speak said earlier, hey, I like to I want to cut straight to the chase and say, this is what I want. This is who I am, and that's it. Yeah, we want to do that, but we want to do that gracefully and tactfully, to where we're not cutting off everybody that comes our way prematurely, but allowing that grace and that patience to say, hey, look, this is me. This is who I am. And say it with love, say it with kindness. Who are you as an
And
individual? Are you going to allow me the opportunity to learn who you are and choose whether or not this is something that I want to do? And we as adults can make that decision when we're mentally healthy and at that point.
I
Yeah.
like to add that a lot of times, especially now with society, I know I bring up society a lot, but it's important that we
Mm-hmm.
include that, because a lot of times, especially us as women, we sort of inherit what we hear, what we see. And we honestly a lot of times don't know what we want, because our nature is telling us that we want structure, we want leadership, we want stability and protection, right? But a lot of women get that and they feel like that's abuse, and they feel like I'm losing control, and this ain't what I want, but that's what you actually need. And then we're looking for things that we want, and then when we find that thing that we want, we're not satisfied with it. So I think
Mm-hmm.
it takes a lot of introspection, but at the same time, along with that, this list that we need to question ourselves, like Kevin Samuel said, are you what that person would want? And
Right.
that's
Huh.
where the work comes in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, family values, sometimes
Yeah,
we don't agree, but I'm fan. Let me tell you something.
that's it.
If you
That's it.
I
Now I need to like slap.
when I was always reaching for something.
Hmm.
I said,
Yeah.
when I get this degree, I'll be happy. When I get this, I'll be happy. When I have
Yeah.
this relationship, and it was never enough. And it was not until, again, getting to work, being diagnosed, and thank God for the military, because I probably wouldn't have been diagnosed had I not, that I realized it had to begin with me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah. Me and my sister had a conversation before, and I told her, I said, I had to learn how to look in the mirror at Sylvia and love me some Sylvia, and be okay with who I was seeing in the mirror.
Yeah.
Was I kind? Was I loving? Was I patient? Um, was I someone that somebody would even desire? You know what I'm saying? I had to ask myself those questions. And then, like everybody else, when things weren't right, when things fell off, and when relationships were broken, what am I doing wrong? You know,
Mhm.
Making those, taking a step back, saying, how did I, acknowledging where my mouth went, what I said, how I said it. Go ahead, Auntie.
And
Jump in wherever you want to,
sabotaging the very thing you said you wanted.
you
Mhm.
know? And so I had to take a step back, and I like what Jenny said. If Jenny, if throw that back up, moderator, where she learned how to do self check-ins with her husband. Year after year, just tapping in just to see where are we in this relationship. That's great advice. To
Yeah.
take a moment to set up a date night, or just even in passing, hey, what we looking like? How am I doing?
Yeah.
Tapping into that relationship. A lot of times relationships fail because people lose sight of each other. You grow apart. That's what people say. Oh, we just grew apart. You didn't grow apart. You saw it in advance. We see the train wreck before it happens. Sometimes we just stand back and allow it to just take place because we
Yeah.
see the atmosphere when it shifts. Sometimes we are the atmosphere when it
Correct.
shifts, you know, and we
Yeah, that's
allow it to
good.
happen without doing those check-ins.
Yeah.
So I think it's important. And that was one of the things, that was my final question to the panel in regards to pursuing your mate and going on these. Are you still dating your mate? Because I think that's a continuous process. Just like Auntie said, it's a continuous process for us to grow and learn ourselves. But it's a continuous process when you're in a relationship, dating that individual, complimenting that individual, loving on that individual.
The
Yeah.
grass is
So yeah,
greener where you water it.
Yeah.
you hear me?
Mm.
Welcome to the convo, Mandrell 21. Welcome.
Hey,
Thank
Mandrell.
you.
Uh,
Yeah.
What's
that
up?
Hey, how you
that's
doing?
something I wanted to touch on real quick. So Mandrell or Dr. Seal can go, but that just like we think things we're just magically compatible, or it's just magically, we just get along. And then when it doesn't, it's like, well, we just weren't good together. But it's like, no, it's not fixed. Like, you have to work on things. Humans are complex. And then we have, ever changing worlds, different things going on. We're
Mm-hmm.
not perfect. We're human. So it's like, you have to be intentional, just like, what Jenny said, you know, checking in, but you have to try and date your spouse every single day, or whatever it is, but you have to make it a point, because if you just get into autopilot, you're not going to make the time. And I wanted to say that there's these cards out there. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. It's called the Skin Deep, but they're called the and then and they're
Mhm.
like these random cards. And sometimes I swear, when me and my fiance would do them, I swear they're always freaking questions that like targeted me, because I'm like, oh my god, I already know his answer. But they're so interesting, because one question will be like, imitate your partner when they're happy, and it's like, I never thought, you know what I mean? So anyone in a relationship, marriage, whatever, check them out. They're really cool. But yeah, it's just being intentional every single day.
Yeah, that's true. Real quick, I would like to address me have donut. She said, very admirable mindset Queen Smiley has. I just fear most ladies don't know when to stop being patient and run. Too many go, what am I doing wrong? Instead of why this man not holding my hand right now. And I totally understand that perspective. When do we say enough is enough? And it goes back to knowing yourself and what you're wanting in a relationship. If this person is presenting themselves to not be where you would like them to be in life or on your journey, those check box, if they're not at 80 or 90% of what you're looking for, go ahead and make that hard decision to make a hard pass. Don't waste the time. Don't sit here. What am I doing wrong? You know, that was one of the things I was asking when I just didn't know. You know, I was still trying to figure myself out, not realizing that most of the problems that I was having was my mindset and my mouth. Okay. I wasn't focused truly on that relationship. I wasn't focused, you know, I would be tuned into that person, but I'll be halfway tuned into everything else I had going on in life. So I just truly wasn't putting the work in. And then when I felt like things weren't going my way, I would self-destruct with my mouth. And so those were problems that I was having, you know, but that's me in my situation, you know. But then at the same time, I did date some cheaters and liars, you know. And so that's how my first marriage ended. And that was my last relationship as well, you know. And, you know, I acknowledged, yeah, it wasn't me, but I allowed it to happen because I would see the signs, but I would let it go on, you know. And in the back of my mind, I would start planning my exit plan, you know. It's like, he's showing himself.
Yeah.
And so I will make subtle, you know, hey, you know, I'll ask questions to kind of provoke the conversation, or even I'll just ask the question, oh, no. I'm like, oh, okay. But if I see you moving that way, I ain't gonna have that conversation more than once. You know,
Well,
maybe
I think
twice
that
I'll give
comment
it.
kind of.
I
think
also.
I think
Go
that
ahead,
comment
family
only
values.
kind of. Huh? You can't hear me?
I
No,
can hear
we
you.
can
Go
hear
ahead.
you.
Okay, I'm
You
sorry.
both are
I
being
just
polite.
I just quickly want to say I think that comment kind of more so applies to women in dating, in the dating
Yeah.
season, because it's a bit different when you are in a marriage, because you can't just walk away so easily, or
But
you
I mean,
shouldn't walk away so
Which is
easily.
good, right?
right. But
True in some
that's the thing. Like,
situations, but go ahead, beautiful animated, and then I'll reference something Dr. Steele has said, and then we'll let Mandrell speak.
okay. Now, I believe in having a deadline, deadlines, whatever. And it can be just as simple as a deadline where you get to that deadline and you go through mentally how your relationship is, and if you want to continue a relationship or not. You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
way you don't you're not blinded, and you're continuously in this relationship that might not be good for you.
It goes back to what Dr. Steele mentioned earlier. You know, you find yourselves in those situations and it becomes totally toxic. And
Yeah,
sometimes that happens even in a marriage when you jump into something too quick. You've seen the signs prior to, but you just want this marriage so bad. And
that's
we as
true.
women, we've done it. You know, we want to be married. We have this, like beautiful animated speak, not the same timeline, but we have a timeline. I want to be married by this age, you know, and I want this guy to be my husband. This is what I want. Because that was part of the reason why I married the first time. I wanted to be married. He was safe. You know, I saw the signs prior to, you know, that it wasn't what I needed to be. You know, God had shown me, but I wanted to force his hand, right? So
Yeah,
guess what? You know, sometimes we have to look back and own our mistakes, you know, and
yeah.
yeah, you know, it wasn't ideal to divorce, but that was a situation I should not have found myself in the first place. And so that's just me. But in dating, again, women, when you see men, when you see these individuals can't meet you where you are, leave them at the restaurant. That's what Hink say, and I'm gonna stand on that.
Before
Hold up.
Mandrell, can I offer this real
She,
quick? Real quick. I'm sorry. One of the things I've learned in my many a relationship, all the men I've loved before, one thing, when you say articulate to that person what matters to you.
mm-hmm.
And if, you know, because in the dating phase, you're learning each other. Me and Mr. Rand have been together almost 4 years and we're still learning each other. But there was one thing in particular that that really affected me from my previous relationships. And I said, this is what, and it was something as small as how he drove. Because I had a bad car accident in 2004, and I still have, I get really anxious if I'm on the passenger side. Well, the previous relationship, I told the guy how that affected me when he suddenly moves, and he didn't care. He kept doing that. Even though I told, but again, I stayed with the fool because, again, going back to what Queen said, but it should have been evident to me because it didn't matter enough to him that something that affected me so deeply, I still have PTSD from it.
Yeah.
That happened with Mr. Randolph one time. One. When he was driving, I told him how, because I got really nervous, and I explained to him the accident and how it made me feel and how I still struggle with that. Never had to tell him again.
Yeah.
Because what mattered to me mattered to him. And the consistency, had he shown me that because of what I learned from the previous relationship, I would have pulled chocks off of all my Air Force people out there. I would have pulled chocks, but he was consistent. So I think that is one of the things like Family Values is talking. When you're talking about in the dating phase, generally they should be showing you the best face anyway. And if they can't even fake it enough, and I'm not encouraging faking it, but if they don't think enough about you to fake it, you need to move around. That's all I got.
Thank you for your patience. I want to jump in and allow Mandrell the opportunity to speak. We thank you for your patience. We truly appreciate your presence here. Talk to us. What's good?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. No, my question is for TJ. Hey, Auntie, how you doing?
Good nephew. Good nephew. Okay, let's go.
No, yeah. Listen to you speak. We have a lot in common here. My history is just picking the wrong women. Simple as. You know what I mean? Completely self-absorbed and selfish people, and that doesn't work in a relationship. So my question to you is, like, you said earlier that you know what it was to love someone, but you didn't know what it felt like to be loved, right? How was the transition, like, from meeting Mr. Randolph now?
I still
going
cry.
From having that feeling to now.
I still cry, and I cried just talking about it because my dad and I did a show, and he talked about the many times because he knows I have a loving heart and a giving heart. But there was some work I needed to do, but I was trying to give it, and a lot of it goes to my upbringing, because there was something missing. And I'm not blaming my father, but that was a part of it. Part of me felt like if, I couldn't get my dad to love me, why would, I expect any other man to really love me? But even working through that, I had so much to give, and I felt like if I could just give, and if I could help them realize what they are, maybe it would help me feel good about me. So, and it was nothing wrong with what I was doing, but I was just doing it for the wrong
people.
Men. So they knew they knew what it was like to feel love from me, but I didn't know what it was like to feel love from them. So now when I think about this, I don't appreciate you making me cry with the question, Mandrell.
Apologize. Here's the thing: help your nephew.
We here, Auntie. You cry, I'm crying. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you.
I'll tell you honestly, I'm in the same predicament, and
but
dating someone
Mr. Randolph is completely different from me, though, nephew. And that was one of the problems. I was looking for a lot of somebody like me, and even me and my ex-husband, my daughter's father, didn't work out, and part of the reason we didn't work out, we were too much alike. Too much alike. Mr. Randolph is strong, but he's a gentle giant, but he means business. And he's tamed the savage beast that was in me. And because of that, even when he holds my hand to pray for me, to pray with me, even when he
take your time.
Something as simple as I was talking to him about my mom, and my mom didn't have a washing machine. And we, me and my sister were gonna buy it. He said, "Oh no, we're gonna take care of that." And it's not even about the money. It's just about,
The
when
love.
I
The
had that
love,
moment
the
of
love that he
weakness
Yeah.
shows.
with my mental health, and I
Yeah.
said to him, "I'm not sure that I think my mental health might be too much for you to handle sometimes, because it's too much for me to handle sometimes." And he said, "I'm not going nowhere." So you want someone that's gentle with you. And he's a strong man, but he's gentle with me.
Yeah.
And I am also gentle with him, because I'm thinking about him first, always. Always. And if she is not gentle with you, if she is not considerate of you, she ain't for you. But
That's
if
it.
you're looking for women that are like you, if there's anything that resembles you, because one of the things that attracted me to my daughter's father was the same thing I came to dislike. We were too much alike.
Mm-hmm.
I talk a lot. Mr. Randolph doesn't talk a lot, but guess what? Because he don't talk a lot, I got to shut up and wait for him to say what he's gonna say. So you talk a lot. You might want a woman that don't talk as much.
Yeah, I've found someone now who seems to compliment me perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
She's soft, like soft
Yeah,
around the edges.
yeah, and it's to the point where it's kind of scary.
No, it sounds perfect.
You know what I mean? It's like, Auntie TJ, you met me. I'm an intense. Not the steal. You met me. I'm an intense guy. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. One of the ABCs of me, but this person is like so soft. It's like it's weird. It's like what? What are you? Not who are you? What are you?
Just go with it.
It's
Just
like what
because
are you?
it's scary, because again, I was so afraid. I was like waiting for the other shoe to drop, but it never.
Mm-hmm.
He was
Yeah.
consistent. So
Yeah.
don't sabotage it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mandrell.
the thing is, she doesn't even know she does it. I don't
the
think she
point.
knows that she does it. It's just
Because
It's
she's
just her.
it just
being
happens.
She's being
You know what I'm
her.
saying? Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
just the intensity that you see on screen. Like I can feel it surging through my body like electricity, and I love it. I love myself. I love that everything about me. I love, right, and I had to learn to do that through years of therapy. But
Yeah.
like we spent time together, and it was just.
just roll
So
one
It was
day
just
at a
that.
time.
It was that
One
relaxing.
day at a
Yeah,
time, and
that's good
It's
stuff.
that
remember
relaxing.
consistency. Don't sabotage it. Don't
Yeah.
overthink it. But when if
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna claim victory.
All right.
We're gonna claim victory, because again, like I said, I'm not saying the first time somebody does something kick rocks, because you're getting to know one another. Like I
Yeah.
said, from the
Right.
time me and Mr. Randolph met to the time we got married, we knew each other for 10 months. But
Wow.
10 months. But
Wow.
we were invested, and we still are.
Invested in each other. That's nice.
Because I hear a lot of things you're saying, and I'm like, I'm the same exact way. Jeez Louise. You know what I'm saying? Like you say,
Yeah.
you think of him first. I think of this person first. She's always considered, no matter what decision I make. You know what I'm saying? Always. I don't tell her these things, but it's just one of the ABCs of me. It's one of the things that make me me.
Yeah.
If I'm committed, I'm fucking committed. I use the expletive just to emphasize the point. You know what I'm saying? Why is Coach K up front?
I don't know. Probably because I am like I'm cheesing because I'm like so happy for you, but I don't know if it was an accident or what. But I am really happy for you, Mandrell.
The thing is like
let's go.
If I'm committed, I'm committed. It's like one of the Knights of the Round Table or something. You know what I'm saying? I'm your guardian, your counselor, shoulder to cry on, all that. You know what I'm saying? And I make sure I keep myself sharp so I can maintain that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And finally with someone who seems to appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, but like it. It's a completely different experience for me. Never had it before. Still trying to figure out what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Don't act like this is almost like something's gone wrong. Like I think this is everything that's going right, you know?
Yeah, but it's different because it's right.
Right,
That's the crazy
exactly.
part.
That's how we know.
You're right. I mean, it's like I could go into more detail about like it's crazy. Like the stark difference between this person and literally everyone else I've ever dated or talked to or going out on a date with. Night and day.
I like that T. Sean said, you know, women, we as women, we should work on our quiet spirit. This is one of the things I initially said and coming into this space. Sometimes we as women need to shut up, you know, because that was a problem that I found myself, about myself rather, where I thought I was being helpful, providing a little insight, you know, because I thought I knew something, and I do. I'm intelligent. So me thinking, and I'm just trying to, you know, help my mate, you know, two minds are better than one, you know, four hands better than two kind of thing. It was the case that Family Value said it earlier, how pretty much I was just taken away from him as a man and everything I had to add. So I thought I was adding value and I was actually taking that value from him. So yeah, we do. We as women, I'm two snapping to Mandrell in his love life.
Can I address T-Shaw right quick?
Yeah.
She said earlier, why do you ladies believe some women change after marriage? Shouldn't
Mm.
we be continuing to evolve as wives? Um, I say the way you want your marriage is the way your relationship should be beforehand. You know, because the ring doesn't change anything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how you want your how you want your marriage is how you should do your relationship before the ring.
And
Yeah.
just one more thing. Like it's crazy. Like I didn't believe in this whole masculine, feminine, whatever. You know, the YouTube talking points nonsense.
Yeah.
Auntie TJ is like, but I've learned now that masculine energy really does respond to feminine energy. Like when I'm around her, like literally, like I'm calm and I'm not trying to be nothing. It just kind of happens. Even when we talk on the phone, it just kind of happens, and it's just this natural thing. So my thing is
The
like, I mean,
flow.
yeah, you're telling me just let it happen?
And
Yeah,
like my
just
daughter said, don't mess it
question.
up. Like she's telling me, don't mess it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to welcome in the room Doc Bennett. Welcome, Mr. Bennett. Welcome, JT from What We Know podcast. Let us know your thoughts. I can't remember who came in first,
They're here.
but thank you both for gracing us with your presence, Kings. And
Can you
yeah,
guys hear me?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Bennett, man. I want to hear what you got to say.
Nah, I was just looking. Your the voice comes on the podcast, so we always look forward to hearing that. I almost feel like I'm cheating a little bit, just kind of coming in and listening to you guys. Great conversation tonight. I feel like I'm getting information I shouldn't be privy to, but this is encouraging. You know, seeing all these ladies come in here and do their thing. So I really appreciate that. But I asked that question earlier. One thing I want to acknowledge to the ladies I'm listening to on the panel is I really appreciate your courage, because it takes a lot to be able to recognize these issues, these things that you're acknowledging yourself that are toxic, or these things that haven't been productive in terms of your pursuit of your relationships. And it's not like you can just wave a magic wand and just let them disappear. It's something that you have to constantly work on all the time. A lot of people would give up. A lot of people say, well, again, it's the easiest thing in the world to say is, well, this is who I am. And just live in that. And some people take pride in that and they wear that on their t-shirt or whatever, love me or hate me or whatever. And the fact that, for a lot of you, you acknowledge the struggle is real. and you're acknowledging, going back and seeing the places where this is coming from. So I think this is useful for women and men to understand that, this is a process that you're going through. And so I love seeing the work in the process. But I had asked the earlier question about, where you're at. Like, is this more about letting go of bad habits or adding on additional ones? Because it definitely seems like in some cases, like you could tell, it's like it's still there. It's almost reminds me of, like, I go way back. So Miss TJ, she remember the show The Incredible Hulk back in the day, Bill Bixby, and the famous line from the show was, "Please don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry." so it kind of has, like, just hearing some of the combo, it kind of reminds you of that. Like, it's still there. You can still trigger me in certain ways, but that's a good word to use. But it's still there, and you have to constantly work to suppress it. You have to do, I don't know, meditation, yoga, whatever it is, whatever the work necessary to suppress that side of you. But that side of you has never left. It can be brought up at any time. And I think that so while certainly I applaud the ladies doing the work to do that suppression, I think for a lot of guys, just speaking for myself and other guys I know, at the same time, while we may admire the work, sometimes we're kind of afraid of, again, triggering that side of you. And so a lot of times we'd rather just go around you rather than deal with it. But that's, but it happens with guys also. If you're around guys who are easily angered or easily want to get in fights, like every time I go out with you, you want to get in a fight with somebody, or I got to try to bail you out of something. A lot of times we want to pull back from that also, because again, most guys, we like that consistency of temperament. Like, I like coming home. The greatest thing about my wife is also one of the most boring things about my wife is that she's very stable. Like, I kind of know what I'm coming home to every night. Like, I never have to worry about, okay, even in the stress of the day or what have you, very rarely will she act out about it. That doesn't mean that she doesn't get stressed. It doesn't mean there's things that we talk about. But having that kind of stability is attractive to a lot of men. So when we see ladies who say, look, even beautiful was saying earlier about, I can be tough, or I can be direct, and I can be whatever. A lot of guys may say it initially until they hear it, and then once they get a taste of it, they may not necessarily want to go back there. So I think it's definitely something in us where men in general, we like to kind of know our surroundings and what are we walking into, and not having to look over our shoulder all the time, or always think about, if I say something or do something, that what's going to irk you, and then get that kind of response. No man wants to be cussed out by anybody, let alone the woman he's trying to be in relationship with. So that's just something that I just, so that's one of the reasons I asked the question, because a lot of guys, even though they may see you doing the work, they may still think in their minds, it's like, okay, is she being genuine? Or is this a performance? Am I getting the nice side? Is she really the Hulk playing Bill Bixby, or is she really Bill Bixby, but there's this Hulk that comes out every once in a while? In our minds, a lot of times it's something that, for a lot of us, we don't like to necessarily deal with unless we feel that there's something vested in us, pursuing that. And certainly for the guy who is to be patient, like TJ said earlier, she was very upfront with Mr. Randolph about, what she was going through, her medical issues or whatnot, and he was willing to take that journey, and I think he was rewarded for it. But for a lot of guys, they won't take that. They won't take that step because, again, the uncertainty of when something may go down that may set her off. And I think that's just something that's a reality that a lot of guys, we may not say it to you because we don't want to let it on, but that scares us. Right. But for a lot of us, that scares us. And so we're much more likely to pull back rather than work through it with you.
I'll say this, Mr. Bennett. Most oftentimes when you find a woman, or a man for that matter, at a particular point, and they show themselves to be exactly what they are. So I can speak for myself and possibly Auntie's case, to where when we say that beast still lives within, we may not have shown that in our current marriage or in our current dating relationship to that individual, because that individual is different, they found us at a different place. So whereas Auntie's saying, here it is, Mr. Randolph is surprised to hear, people speak about her in the past, like, hey, he's like, I don't know this person y'all talking about, because
Right.
that's he's never had to endure that, because he presented
Mm-hmm.
himself to be a different individual and she showed herself to be a different woman. Same as in the relationship that I'm in, the individual I'm dating never has had to see that in me. But people in my past, I dated a guy once before, and he ran into a young lady I went to high school with, and her response to him when he said, "Oh, you may know her, I'm dating Sylvia," and she was like, "Who?" You know, and he was like, "Yeah," kind of scratching his head, was like, "She's awesome." Like, Sylvia Smiley? He was like, yeah, what's the problem? Like, she's always like, nah, just Sylvia. And so I sent a quick message. I was like, yeah, just tell her I said hi, and tell her, please don't forget, I'm still Sylvia.
Well,
I'm
it's
still
interesting because
Smiley.
that right.
So don't
Well, it's
play with
interesting
me.
because a lot of times,
Right.
in the spaces too, we also talk about, okay, check out her friends, or what are others saying about her or him or what have you.
Right.
So
Yeah.
again, for a lot of it, again, we meet you, we're infatuated how beautiful you are or how handsome, whatever that is, and we're just attracted to that,
Mm-hmm.
and we're just so wrapped up in that. So even when people are telling us, like, yo, bro, you don't
And
know it like, you may
yeah,
not
and
know
to
it
your
like that, and
point,
that may run you off.
and to your point, with you saying that as a king and as a man and as a leader, when we do show ourselves to be that woman, or that individual, and you correct us, if we can't fall in line, if we can't get our shit together, leave us
Yeah.
at the restaurant. You hear me? We're not for you. You know what I'm saying? When that bass hit that voice and you like, all right, now you pushing it, and we can't take that, and you gracefully and tactfully did it too, and we still can't listen,
Can
go
I
hard pass.
can I say this real quick story? This is a little haha moment. Um, Me and Mr. Randolph we were having a quote about our roof to get some work done, and so we had agreed that when we were on the phone with the roofer that he was going to take over the conversation, so we were on three-way. So I was getting frustrated, and he was getting frustrated too with the person because they were running around, giving us the runaround, and so I said something. He said, "Terry." I said, oh, "Okay." That was it. That was
That's
it.
all it takes. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
If
Yep.
she's for you, if that's your queen, if she's meant for you, that's all it takes. What you
Yep.
got, JT? And welcome, Canadian born. Black David, I ain't gonna do you like Black Man Unfiltered typically do you. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. DL Saint, welcome to the conversation. We truly appreciate everybody being in here. If I can get one person to drop down, DL, I'm gonna ask you to drop down real quick so we can bring family values up. Because shortly after JT finish, we're gonna do final thoughts, but we're gonna bring you back up, DL Saint.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm a drop also. I just wanted to go in and say hi again.
Okay.
Keep doing your thing.
So
Great job, ladies,
Thanks,
and
Mr.
I've enjoyed myself
Bennett.
tonight. Have a great night,
thank you so
everybody.
much,
Take
Mr.
care.
Yeah,
Bennett.
you
So go ahead
too.
and hang
See
out
ya.
with us, DL.
So it's just, yeah, man. I'm like a fly on the wall. I don't have a whole lot to say here because I'm gonna let you ladies take it. I'm kind of long winded when it come down to things like that. But I just wanted to commend y'all for being part of the shift. Um, I'm just taking it in, just listening. Matter of fact, I was listening with Nidra. We were sitting back just listening, and I just needed to get on here and just to commend you ladies, and just say that you guys are doing a really really good job at what you guys are doing right now. So yeah,
Oh,
this is my
thank
moment
you.
right here where I'm taking it in. I don't have a whole lot to add to it right now. I'm gonna listen to y'all and let y'all do what y'all do.
Well,
Thank you
I
for
got something
sharing.
to add.
Yeah.
When Teacher Randall mentioned that, I remember an incident when my sister came over here before she moved to Texas. And I told my wife, don't tell her what I do, what I'm making, where I'm working, because there's a problem to me and my sibling whereby I'm the oldest, but I never think I can do well in life. So I told my wife, keep my business out of their mouth. Don't mention anything about what I'm making whatsoever. So my sister came over for one last time to visit. Then she was trying to indirectly trying to throw shade at me, but trying to see if she can refer me to some job that I could make some good kind of money, that making six figure. And I watching my wife. I told her beforehand not to say anything, right? Fine. So While my sister was doing that, and me, I hate to say this. I have a bad habit. If I don't like you, you piss me off. You can be right there in front of me, and I act like you never existed, and I'm good at doing it. I've done it to a lot of ex-girlfriends whereby they will pass me by, call me, I will act like I didn't hear anything. I'm just looking straight in the eye, like they're a ghost. So I was trying to do that with my sister, not in a very straightforward, but trying to be sarcastic with it. So when she was trying to play me, I didn't care because I was already making money. My wife came out of the back, no, he's making sick. I'm like, oh my God. I'm trying to keep it secret, but the thing is, I can see it falling in her face. Like, she did not like nobody talking down. How would I put this? We have a nickname in this neighborhood. They call her She-Hulk. I'm the Hulk.
They call her what?
They call her She-Hulk. I'm the Hulk. Whereby my son and my daughter is from a elementary school. You're doing good.
It was only a matter of time.
One of these days, black man, you gonna get it. It's all good. So
Oh, jeez.
I found out from the teacher that she's well known. Like, she's tall. She's 6 foot 1, 6 foot. And there was a time another parent came to the school and had someone to have after my son. Now, normally I was supposed to go to the school. My wife didn't. I would deal with it. So I didn't know what happened until I heard it from other teacher that at one time this short lady was trying to curse out my wife. My wife sat down and told her, "If I get up there, come, I will stomp you." I was like, "You say that?" I said, "What happened?" She said a whole bunch of teachers put a barricade between her. They were barricading her from the parents. They know who she is, but they offer what she would do. Then the thing is,
So
I
she
hide
has
my.
a history of being stupid.
No, she's like a mama bear. You attack her children.
No, I'm talking about the teacher.
No, not the teacher. It was the parent that was trying to speak out,
Okay.
and the teacher know who my wife is, and
Okay.
she's tall. So when she said she got a thump, the first thing came to the mind, and she gonna walk up to the woman, raise her leg, and just actually stomp her. So they barricade her in front of her. I say, "Why do you say that?" He said, "You know different from me." I'm like, She look at my wife, look at me dead in the eye. You worse than me. I said, "Yeah, you're right. I'm worse." So on the street, my wife is she the restrainer. It's one time to harass me or my family. It takes me less than 30 seconds to lose it. And she tried her best to calm me down. A few times, I almost powerbombed a few people. And she yanked me out. Mm-mm. You carry the baby, go right there. Because she said, "I'm not afraid of him. I'm afraid of you going to jail."
Yeah.
Now, here's
Yeah.
the thing. I, People think I'm weak, but the thing is, I have a bad habit of lifting heavy items. So the most I ever carry, maybe 400, 500 pounds, I pull over 1,000 pound pallet with one arm. So I'll be doing crazy stuff out here in New York City over the years. I'm addicted to hard work, so she know my strength, she know my limit.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that I watch my wife several times over, whenever I'm about to get into a fight or something, she quick to just yank me, pull me to the side. You're not supposed to do it. We need you here. You're the breadwinner. And I watch my wife say, "Why can't take? I know you.
So
You
the
don't,
beast is within,
yeah. I
and it's
control
okay to
her.
leave the beast dwelling
Yeah.
within.
She calm me down most of the time. I try my best to calm her when I'm there. Sometimes I have to pick her up, put her on my shoulder, and just walk away.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes it's
she knows.
okay to let the beast dwell,
But
But
see, that's a
again,
good relationship. You know, one's being calm and cool, like cooling down the other one. Because
She
we
does that
both
when
can't be
needed.
fools. we both can't be tearing down people. You
No,
know what I'm saying?
no.
yeah,
They see
yeah.
my wife's side. I try my best to hide my side. It's just that a few times I actually showing out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it's not normal.
Okay.
But she
Well,
she
thank you.
control that.
Yeah. As a queen should. DL Saint, talk to us. This is my first time being in the same space with you. So a gracious bow. I have seen you present before, so yeah.
Oh,
Welcome.
well, thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome. Thanks for having me. And shout out to everybody on the panel. This was a great conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm new to this part of the internet. I'm over there in like the mainstream world doing some other things. So when I get to come home to my people, I'm like, this is cool. This is cool. I mean, you know, I be ninja watching a lot. I be seeing some
Big
craziness
things
pop off.
popping in, a little things stopping.
Yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all wild because Mandrell wild, and that's my brother right there. So I already know what time it is. I already know y'all. I was like, oh, it's gonna be crazy. But I've been listening and kind of checking out a little bit, and I actually did a show tonight, and I was talking about these struggles that you know, like the boss women, like the successful women have, and I came across an article just to get y'all thoughts real quick. They're projecting by 2030, 45% of working women aged 25 to 44 in the United States will be single. And I'm listening to what you guys are saying. And I'm wondering, why isn't this the message to young women? I'm a single dad. I have a 13-year-old, soon to be 14-year-old daughter. These are the things that I will be telling her as she gets older and you know, the conversation becomes relevant. Are we not telling our young daughters or young women in the community that, you know, self-improvement and being socially calibrated and knowing when to crank it up and tone it down? Are we not putting this out there? Like, what are we telling our young women?
So for me, and I can only speak for me, I'm putting it out there. We're putting it out there. We're doing it even in this environment. What hinders us is one, we show things different, but it goes back to what family values said. I hate to bring up society, but society wants to shift the narrative. Society wants to maintain control of the narrative. So they'll put those statistics out there so we can live towards that versus living towards what we're talking about right now, because they'll highlight that statistic, but they won't highlight these conversations. And so that's where we as individuals have to do the work, and not just here, but in our families, in our households, in the communities that we serve in. Black Man, Dewayne is a big advocate of getting out into the youth. I am as well. We're doing the work. I don't have a little daughter at this. My girls are grown, but I volunteer with nothing but youth and little girls, grooming them to be those I call them my little divas. Now they're my little sweethearts. But I do that with them to give them something different. Because a lot of these girls are from the south side of Texas. Love me some Texan folks. I love the hood. You know, I love the hood. You know, I love hanging out in the hood. I like the streets, you know, when it comes to hanging with people and connecting with people. Not like that, Black David. Fix your face. Okay. Back in, okay, not like the streets like that, but I just love my Black people. I love the culture. I love the environment. It's not always perfect, but we have to choose what we take in and what we take out and what we put into those communities. I didn't come from a well-to-do family, you know, or well, I did initially when we were in California, but moving to Louisiana, my whole culture shifted. You know, the ghetto was new for me. So knowing what's possible, but knowing what's also possible when we're not guided properly. I've experienced that firsthand. So I've made it a point in my life to always give, show, and motivate, you know, love and encourage people to do something different in their communities and things like that. But that's the problem. That's what I see. Society, the government, and everybody else in that realm will guide us on how we should feel and how we're supposed to think a certain way. And they speak it into existence. And we listen to that bull crap and we follow it, you know, especially weak-minded people. Those are my thoughts, you know.
And to add on to what you're saying is, I believe there's two big solutions. One, it starts at home with our own families and teaching our daughters how to be, because that's important. That's what we can control, and that's how we can control the culture. I think it was your little podcast, or no, it was Mr. Logic that said we have to control the environment that our children are in, so society isn't the biggest influence on their life. And then on top of that, I believe it's going to take for humility for the older women that are regretful, that did take that route, to say, young ladies, it's not the way. This isn't the way. I thought it was the way, don't choose what I chose. I'm single, I'm lonely, or this isn't what I imagined my life would be. And I didn't know this because I was taught that this is what I'm supposed to be. But I think it's going to take for the older women to step up and say, don't do what I did. Marry young, work on yourself. And like Queen Smiley says she's doing in her community, she's talking to women and she's young ladies and raising them up. And I think that's biblical for the older women to step up and teach the younger women how to be who they should, how to be whoever, God created them to be, instead of rejecting it. Because like you said, society is telling us to do the opposite, which is leading to these broken homes, which is leading to the singleness. And then we see the mental health issues due to that. So women are on antidepressants and anxiety meds because we're taking on things that we shouldn't be taking on, carrying weight that we shouldn't be carrying, because we are taught to be so independent. And it's not, I think it was Kevin Samuels. I always quote him because rest in peace, he's the Godfather. But anyways, he said, men have shoulders for weight, women have hips. That's for children, right? That's for our duty as women. So I think that's a great analogy to look at. We weren't created to be carrying things on our shoulder, which is leading to a lot of issues. But anyways, like I was saying, the solution is starting with home and starting with the older ladies being humble enough to speak up and say that I did it wrong. Don't do it like how I did it.
Yeah, very much so. Shout out to the 5100 podcast. He's saying shout out to Black Man Unfiltered Network for cultivating this conversation. We appreciate the super chat of $4.99. And please know that I do listen to me some Trick Daddy, because baby, I'm a thug all day, every day. Okay.
Can I?
Hey, Bill, I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave with money that's a stick up. She picture perfect, so I told him I'm a flick up.
And y'all remember to live, laugh, and love through all of your journey in life. Please live, laugh, and love, because we're having this serious conversation to cultivate a different spirit in our young women and in our youth, even in our men, because the men are always dropping jewels for us women. Because we're seeing a different side of the men, and I appreciate y'all's conversation. I tune into y'all all the time. But then also to the young women, and we have to remind ourselves that, I made a joke about, going to the hood and, and enjoying the streets and all of that. But half of the stuff that we see on mainstream media, entertainment, the shows we're watching, things like that are being poured into our communities, all of that is entertainment. And when I was in church, real big, some of the conversations we would have is guarding our kids, our eyes, our ears, our hearts and things like that. But when you're having the conversation, the truthful conversation with your children to say, hey, look, I see, old girl and her mom and them are doing X, Y, Z. Okay, but we're not doing that in here. I allow you to watch these movies, but understand this is just entertainment. Let me show you how this show is just a fictional show. I don't care what comes on TV. If it ain't a documentary, and most times some of those are even guided as well. How is that truly relevant? What message are they trying to present? And what do we need to take from it as a family is what I always do with my children. Go ahead, Auntie. And then somebody, one of the guys had a question. Okay, JT, you'll go after Auntie real quick.
You can go first.
Okay, so I got two questions. Well, they both is kind of synonymous with each other. So, and this is for the ladies, and if the fellas want to answer this, they can answer it also. But I want to know from the panel, what do you guys think is a ideal age for women and men to get married? And then what do you think is an ideal age for women and men to have children together?
Can I take that and I'm gonna tie it into the what I was gonna say before to DL Saints, and I think what Family Value said. I guess since I'm the old person on the panel, I think it is incumbent.
You ain't old, you just old enough.
I'm not far behind you, Auntie. So
okay.
I ain't gonna even be shamed. I just weigh it
It's
well.
incumbent upon us to say, you know, what we did wrong, because I have said I had a wonderful career. You know, you know, I did very well in the military, and I'm very proud of my service. I did very well in the federal civil service, and I'm proud of all of that. But I did not realize the cost that it was going to, because I had aspirations. I thought I was going to be a general or admiral, you know, but I had no idea what it was costing me as it relates to finding a husband or having him find me or raising my daughter. So I think it's important to, you know, and I look at my daughter now. My daughter is 28. She got married. I think she got married at 24. She met her husband. I think that they met at 22, and they just had they had my granddaughter last year. So I think a good age to get married, probably I'd say between 25 and maybe 27. Because by that time you're out of college if you're going to college. You've started a job. You know, my daughter, and I'm really grateful for her that she didn't go down my path. You know, she wanted to be, you know, successful, but what was more important to her was to make sure that she could be at home with her daughter, to be a wife to her husband. And that meant that she was willing to take on a lesser paying job so she could do those things, to be, you know, and my daughter's very smart, you know, she's very creative, very talented. So in as much as I showed her some things to do wrong, she saw that what she wanted, the opposite of the life that I provided her, even though I provided her a good life, but it was a life that was not a nuclear family life. So I think it's important for us to share that with young girls.
Yeah.
Particularly, you can, you know, you can have it all, but you can't have it all at the same time. And that's
Yeah.
one, I used to think that I could have it all at one time. And there are many friends that are my age, some are a little younger, wanted to be married, wanted to have children, and neither of those things happened for them. So I think it is important for us to talk about that. And also, some of those same friends like myself, we were just mean. So even if we were dating, we weren't the nicest women to deal with. I can say for a fact I was mean. So I think a lot of this is, and I thought being mean was showing strength, and that was a turnoff. So I think we need to have very candid conversations, and but it has to start in the home, because again, you know, my daughter even says she tries to tell some of her friends and they don't listen to her. So, you know, I think the best thing that we can do is continue talking, you know, but to share, you know, yeah, it's nice, you know, and I'm gonna close with this. Billy D. Williams said it in the movie Mahogany. For y'all young old heads. Success means nothing if you don't have someone you love to share it with.
Right.
That's all I got.
I'm gonna answer this question real quick, and then I want the other ladies, if y'all like to, I want y'all to answer JT's question, and then we'll go to final thoughts. For me, ideally, I don't think there's an age for marriage, because people mature at different rates, you know, and I consider that to be the same in regards to people's faith. A lot of times, and I had this conversation with my pastor once. He wanted the youth in the church to be at a certain place, you know, spiritually, and I'm like, look, you can't tell nobody how they should or should not be, you know, at a spiritual point, when here it is, God wakes us up each and every day with brand new mercy, brand new grace. So we can't dictate that to anybody. So I don't think there's a true age for marriage. And then I also don't think there's a true age for people to have children, because some people shouldn't be parents. You know, some people are not meant to be parents, you know, so I'll leave that thought, and I don't want to go deep in that conversation, because we can go
forever on that one.
So I'll open it up for some of the other ladies to answer JT, so we can move into final thoughts.
I'm with you, Queen Smiley. As far as there is no age on it. It's simply your maturity, what you have, and as far as children, be financially and emotionally ready to have kids. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to be able to handle your child emotionally, and you have to be able to financially provide for your child. You know, my oldest brother, he met his wife. They went to high school together. and they got engaged, and they didn't marry until she graduated from college, and then come the baby. So that was that. So I would say that put them in the 20s, you know, as far as getting married and then having a kid. Mm-hmm.
So y'all know me. So I have to disagree with most of y'all.
Be true to who you are, family values. We already know. Go ahead and bring
Yeah.
it to us.
Yeah, there's definitely an age, because I believe there's a purpose for marriage, and that purpose is to be fruitful, to multiply. And biologically, we have a time clock. So I would say from 18 to 25, as young as possible, especially with society today. We need to dodge a lot of the traumas that would come from dating or adding bodies and things of that nature. The younger, the better, because you grow with your spouse. You grow and become one with your spouse. Even if you're not mature, y'all mature together, and then that makes that bond even stronger. So I believe ideally 18 to 25, because that's when you're most fertile. That's when we should be gifting our husbands with our youth, because like it or not, men like youthful women. Men want a younger woman. So I think we should be giving that to them. Now, there's situations where that doesn't happen due to the decisions that we make, but ideally, definitely 18 to 25, and start procreating as soon as possible. So so you have that energy and that patience, so you can learn and grow, so you can be moldable and willing to learn. On top of that, once your children are up and out of the house, you're 35, and you're still young, and you still get to have fun with your husband and go travel and do all those great things that you feel like you're missing out on because you're having kids so early. But it can happen once they leave the house. And the cycle really is ideal for women, especially in this day, because it will help shield them from a lot of trauma and a lot of issues that could arise from not having that covering for those 5 to 10 years without your husband, waiting until you're 25 or 30 to get married.
Right.
I'm with family values, so pretty much the same. So, final thoughts, everyone.
Go ahead.
I'll make that the final thought. I agree with family value, because when I came back to this country, I was trying to get married young, because I knew for the fact from my uncle teaching and my relatives, my elders, they told me the same thing. You don't want to wait until you get older. When you got to get older, you got to really think that to feel different. I got married in my 30s, and I wish I got married in my 20s instead to avoid the drama whatsoever. So I will say, yeah, it's better to get married. It's better to get married as a woman from 18 to 25, same as a male, because the dating scene of the yesteryears and now is almost the same, but it's very toxic. I'm not gonna lie about that. That's my thought. Whatever, black man. I'll get you later. So good.
Thank you so much, Black David, for joining us. We appreciate you for blessing us with your presence. Black man, you are so messy. Just know that.
Why me every time?
And yet he's bigger than me. You played that video, and he's much bigger than me. That would be his video, not mine. I'm dropping weight, brother. Holla.
Oh, good.
You're lucky my wife didn't see that. She would grab you to the screen. Like, hey, that don't look like my husband, okay?
So we'll hit the guys and let the guys go first with their final thoughts. And then we'll hit the ladies on the panel. Thank you so much, Black David.
If y'all didn't see it, I have a video of Black Man dancing now. So yeah, I have it. I have his video now. His
That's going
footwork
in the
is
back chat.
impeccable.
That's going down in the back chat. That's a bet.
Yeah.
All right, JT, what you got?
Okay, so very short. I asked that question pretty much basically is because we have to we got to start being a little more solid on the message that we are conveying to the younger generation. And we are not solid on that whole concept of marriage and having kids. This is why we have a problem right now with society where we have all these broken homes, because for one, there's not enough emphasis on how to get married. There's not enough emphasis on when you should be procreating. So right now we have a lot of homes that have mismatched families more than not. And you know, we got way more fathers that are stepfathers that are taking care of children than we have the regular fathers that are taking care of children. And one of the reasons that I observe is for the simple fact that that message has been lost in translation when it comes down to marriage and having children. And I've asked this question for a couple of years, and a lot of times people, they don't really pay attention to, for one, the woman's biological clock. So, you know, and the possibilities and probabilities of her having kids. And the other thing is that, you know, most people will say it to you guys' point when Queen was saying when you're ready. No, it's not when you're ready. It's not when you're ready. Once you're an adult, you have to understand where you're going in life as an adult. And if you want to be married, and if you want to have a family, and you want to build a different type of community, you have to be able to think about family. So the number one thing that we have to do for the younger generation is get them to think more about family and less about being single. It should not be that everybody wants to be married by the time that they're 50, 45 years old. This is what's tearing us up right now when it comes down to building communities. So at the end of the day, we may have to be, I'm not going to give an answer as far as from the question that I asked, but I think that we should start having more of a conversation about this. I think this needs to be continuing, because a lot of young folks, just like we were, they're lost in the sauce when it comes down to this whole thing on family.
Yeah,
that's it. Oh, also follow What We Know podcast with your homeboy JT and your homeboy Rob. He was in here earlier today, and we're on Saturday nights, 9:30. You guys can see us. We have the same type of conversation, and even more other conversations too. But commend you ladies for this conversation, and that's it.
Thank you so
What's
much.
up, Mandrell?
Thank you, JT. All right, who we got? Who's up next? Final thoughts from our guys?
All right, I'll go. Brother Mandrell. If that's okay with Brother Mandrell, I don't want no drama.
No, go ahead. By all means.
I was just messing with you. First of all, great topic. Great show. Forgive me for being late. I mean, I saw I should have been in here. I wish I caught it from the top. But and then, you know, shout out to Sister Family Values. I wrote in the chat what I was thinking, but I got to modify it. I think I got to go for women getting married. I got to go with 18 to 28 now, or maybe even 26. Maybe drop that down on. But for men, I think they should be older, and at any time, men need time to build themselves up. I still hold on that 31 to 35 range. Just making up numbers. That's not based on any science or anything like that. But Sister Family Values is absolutely right. The whole purpose is to be fruitful and multiply. I'm not a very religious person, but I am spiritual, and I was raised Southern Baptist, so I know the words and I know the stories, and I agree. Our community has been decimated, and we have to build back. You know what I mean? To steal the political terms, build back better. Not that I'm a fan of that, but I figured might as well use it for something good. and what they doing with it. But our community has been decimated. We need that. We need to build it back. We need to it takes a village. We need to get back to that. That's the way we were raised. You know, Miss Johnson used to whoop us when we was out there acting up, and then Mr. Smith would get us before we got home, and then we got home, you know what I'm saying, grandma would get us, and then mom would catch up to us, and then dad would get us later. That's how it should be. Nowadays, you raise your voice to somebody's child, you find yourself in court or worse.
Right.
So we need to get back to that. So what I heard tonight was amazing. I'm proud to be a part of it. Thanks for having me. Y'all be wilding out. Next time I wear my football pads, I'm looking at these videos and what y'all be doing. I'm like, man, this full contact up in here. But that's all right. I'm ready. I'm ready.
It's always a good time. Definitely always a good time. So thank you for your thoughts. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. Shout out to some of the people in the chat. I'll do that real quick. If you are liking what you're seeing, please like and subscribe. Hit the Cash App. You see it scrolling down at the bottom. We have Donut. I think it was T-Sean, DL Saint, of course, that jumped up. Even Mr. Bennett. There's a host of people. The 500 podcast, you know, all of those that's been in the chat. Thank you all for keeping the chat alive, as y'all always do. We'll take our final thoughts from Mandrell, and then we'll bless the ladies.
Oh, hey, good conversation.
Welcome back. You know?
Thank you.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
I'm sorry, ladies. I was miles away. But great conversation. Auntie TJ, it is striking how much similarity there is here between you and I. I mean, and I thank you for your counsel. I'll probably call you for some more if you don't mind. But yeah, very good conversations. I think you guys are bringing up the right topics and talking about the right stuff. If only we can get the younger generations to listen to it and heed the information.
Share it.
Yeah, because the last thing we want is for them to make the same mistakes that we made, you know, because then all we're doing is perpetuating the same behavior. And it's horrible to see young people learn that lesson, but learn it far later in life than they should.
And the hard way.
Yeah. And the hard way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my recommendation, everybody in the chat, everyone who's watching this after the fact, point people's eyes to this broadcast tonight. It was a real good conversation. And there was a lot to learn.
Thank
you very much. You guys can catch me tomorrow night, 8:30 Central Time, right here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network for my show Unapologetic with Mandrell, me, and my sister, Shushu. We're going to be talking about public shaming.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Interesting.
So that's it. My final thoughts. Good job, ladies. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Happy
so
for
much,
you,
Miss
Mandrell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is what I always say: be emotionally and mentally healthy before getting into a relationship. If you're having mental issues, find a therapist and psychiatrist. Shop around and vet your doctors always, because you're gonna have the doctors that's for the money. You got the doctors who's for you, and you want the doctors who are about their patients over the money. You can find me at Beautifully Animated Speaks, which is my secondary channel for this atmosphere, whatever atmosphere I'm in. I also have another channel. My original channel is Beautifully Animated, where I do makeup and reviews on movies or whatever. That's just a fun channel. Whereas this is my more serious channel. And you can find me on IG at Beautifully Animated Web Space. And thank you all for having me.
Thank you so much, Beautifully Animated. Always a pleasure being in the same space with you, chick.
Thank you.
The auntie.
This is about right because I'm getting sleepy. It's past my bedtime.
Look, we got to get this beauty sleep.
Thank you all for having me. It's interesting as it relates to 18. Yeah, I'm still a little bit hard. I'm not really too sure about that. Only reason I say is because I consider society now, and I think about some of the relatives and some of the young ladies that I see that are 18. And, I consider my mom when she had me at 17 and then my sister at 19 by her own admission, she was a baby herself. And we had a lot more traditional values then of how we were bringing, even though I was born out of wedlock, but by the time she had my sister, she was married. We had more traditional values and fewer distractions, vying for the attention of the youth then than we do now. And she was still a child having a child. I think now when I consider some of my relatives that are 18 and 19, women and men, there's no way that they are mature enough, in my opinion, to be married. So I would think maybe 20 to 25, but again, largely because of the distractions that are vying for their attention, and they are not mature because they are very selfish in the world that we live in. So again, it does start in the home, but we cannot omit the fact that the outside forces are very influential, just as they were influential in our upbringing. But I think it definitely comes down to we do need to be rebuilding our family, and because of that, maybe we do need to have these conversations earlier with our children to help prepare them, because we're not even sending them for the most part out to deal with the world, with life skills, much less family skills. At 18, some of these young people don't even know how to talk to each other, much less having a relationship. So that's just where I think. I thank you for the opportunity to share some of my experiences, the good and the bad, and hopefully that'll help someone. I thank you for inviting me into the conversation. I want to offer that, again, the way that I did it by no means is what I would encourage people to do.
Right.
But if you are here late in life, continue to do the work if you want to try to have someone to share your life with. It's not a given. It's a possibility. It's not a probability, but don't give up if that's what you want. But as my class says, you can recognize that person when they show themselves to you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Auntie. Always a pleasure. Thank you for your nuggets. It's always such a blessing.
Bye-bye.
Just to quickly respond to what she said about 18-year-olds being immature, which is very true, which is why the solution to that is making sure that she has a covering and that she's not out here in this world by herself. You know what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying. There is an immaturity, but also it starts at home. We should be teaching our daughters at a young age of how to be emotionally mature, how to be able to control their emotions and be prepared to be a wife. My daughter's 12 years old and she can prepare a whole meal now and take care of kids and really run a home to an extent. So I think it all comes back to family and how we're raising our children. We're keeping our children for way too long. And I know a lot of people don't like that we should be letting them be children, but we need to prepare them for the world. And a lot of times we are babying them too much, which is why we have very, very immature 18-year-olds in this world. So I do get what you're saying. Today, right now, 18-year-olds aren't quite ready, but at the same time, it will be best for them in the long run to not have to deal with the traumas that will come due to their immaturity if they were under someone, if they had from daddy to husband, and it's a form of protection. But final thoughts, ladies, I really loved the show today. I really loved the topic. And I think Coach K, she said the golden nugget of the night was replace your bad habits, those nitpicky things, with good habits like accountability, basically. Look within yourself. And I think that's the biggest thing we need to be teaching the younger women, that we need to quit blaming everybody for our problems.
Oh, I think we lost her.
Oh,
Am I
cool.
so upset about whatever it is that's happening in, in this relationship, and replacing bad habits with that good habit. But thank you guys for having me, and you can follow me at youtube.com/Family Values TV, and I love you all.
Thank you, girl.
Thank you so much, Family Values. Always a pleasure and a blessing, and always speaking real. So thank you for your final thoughts, and thank you for being on this panel tonight. It's been a blessing. That's
All
for
right,
sure.
good night.
Bye. Very needed.
Yeah. Beautiful conversation. Oh my gosh. So one thing I do love about this space, and love about the Lady Speaks, is the fact that we as women can get together and have conversations, real conversations. We can share our thoughts, ideas, our perspectives, our stances, where we are in life, where we were in life, where we're going in life, what we got right, what we got wrong, and we can do so in such a pleasant manner. So I truly enjoy and love that. So thank you, Black Man Unfiltered Network, for creating this space and cultivating these conversations, because they're definitely needed, and they don't need to stop here. So share. So for those of y'all that are still listening in, those that are still tuning in, please go ahead and hit that like button. When this drops and it's official on YouTube, share the link so that individuals who are listening after the fact can still to give and show this love. It's crazy because I can't ever truly disagree with a lot of things that we all share in our perspectives. One, because everybody's feelings are real and they belong to each and every one of us. But everybody always have a great point, a great perspective. And so it's so super hard to kind of be combative in this space. We just have to live and let live. But yeah.
Everyone took ownership about their past, what's going on now, and I love that. Can never argue with that. And I think we need more of that from everyone. So I think that was a really, really cool thing to see. Loved it. This was a great conversation.
Yeah, definitely a great conversation. One of the things, I'll just end with this. My final thoughts: know yourself always. Know what you want in order to show love. We have to give love. In order to consider ourselves friends in this space, we have to show ourselves to be friendly. In regards to mental health and maintaining a better relationship, we as women, we need to move away from our nitpicky behavior and allowing men the space and the peace and to be men. And we have to do so with grace and tact. We also have to dig deep into our quiet to provide a space to have true conversations. And having those conversations when we are feeling ourselves to be anxious or upset or emotionally hurt about some things, being able to articulate those. I feel this when you do. So it can be very direct in how we're communicating those issues that we face in our relationships, but then also taking ownership of our feelings and not forcing them on everybody else. So like you mentioned earlier, accountability, making ourselves accountable for not just ourselves and our reactions, but also our mental space as well. So.
Yes. And my final thoughts are basically just two things with a big deal, little deal. Always be asking yourself, is this a big deal, little deal? In every situation to you, whenever you're feeling some type of emotional charge, ask yourself, because guess what? You get to decide. There isn't a rule that this is a big deal or this is a little deal. Just decide. And then the second thing is, I think it's okay for all of us women to admit that we're not, sometimes we're not better off by ourselves. It doesn't make you any weaker or less than to want to be with someone. Of course, you want to do that in a healthy way. But I love the person that I am with my fiance. When I think of myself, I just think of me with him. And I love, the person that he brings out of me. And I think that's totally okay. And I can still be strong and kind of sassy for sure. But at the same time, I just love living life with him. And even when we're not, physically together, it's just great. So more of
That's
that.
beautiful.
But
Yeah.
So
I love it. And that's power in choosing whether or not something is a big deal or a little deal. That gives us that mental stability to where we still have some power. Because
that is where your power is.
We get to choose what's a big deal and what's a little deal when we're looking at situations and when we're trying to evaluate circumstances. But then we also have to get out of the habit of doing the fundamental attribute error, where we oftentimes make excuses for ourselves. Oh, I act this way because of this. But then when somebody else act the same way, it's because of their character. We tear that person down. Okay.
Or I did this because you did that. I only reacted this way and acted like a child because of you. It's like, stop right there.
So, ladies, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. On that note,
good stuff.
Definitely please hit that subscribe button. It is still not too late to hit the Cash App. It's definitely not too late to like and subscribe. So blessings to each and every one of you who presented yourself on the panel. Great discussion. Coach K, you are the bomb.
So right back at
ladies,
you.
I love y'all. Chat, I love y'all. I love everybody. I'm wearing a shirt. Love more. Love more.
Good stuff.
Self-love. Just love. Love, love, love. So good night.
See ya.
Bad little flex, she wanna know me. I stay low key, all gas, no breaks, baby, let them hoes sleep. Body on 10, make your girl OD. I get in my way, never out of my lane. Feel like you the one and I'm on one. So what it's gonna be? Baby, squad up, we finna go deep. Riding on a team, got what you need. Baby, won't you keep me company? Give me something to do when I get lonely. I got something for you when we get home. If you let me put it down, when I hit the town, you should lie on me. Keep your minds on me. On try, baby, I think you should side with me. Stay solid one time if you lie with me. Just promise you never lie to me. Keep them